at the same time because my power cannot be contained to one streaming platform now.
One of these days, you'll tag me in something.
If you had more of like an internet profile, I would make sure to do so. You just like basically are a ghost on the internet.
Everything but your damn TikTok. But okay.
You don't post anything. You're just there.
How else will I find my fans? My fans!
Well, anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Source 4 show. I almost said the Source 4 movie show, and that might just become the title of this at this point, because it's all we seem to do is talk about movies and video games.
You're gonna have to get a better subscription to the theaters.
I'm Edwin Source 4, and this is Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hi, hello. It is me,
Mr. Sheets, Mr. Brian. Your name is still changed. I changed your name under you last week for the radio time.
That'll be fine. Not really worried about it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Both will technically find me.
Well, so this week I think we're going to talk about Alien is our biggest thing. We both saw the newest film, ALIEN Romulus, yesterday. Yeah. So I liked this movie a lot. I thought it was great. I was very much from the beginning. I very much thought I was going to, because I think I'm one of like 5 people I know that has seen the Evil Dead 2013 remake that this director made, and I loved that movie. So
that's the pedigree that had me excited.
I very much, this man understood what made the Evil Dead movies great and just did it again then. And that's kind of what I feel like happened here, is we understood what made Aliens a good film and just kind of like elaborated on that a little bit. I liked where this went.
Well, good. Then we have a yin yang again.
You don't like it?
This movie sucks ass.
I have problems with it.
It is Rise of Skywalker, but Alien. I think the beginning of this movie starts out with a interesting setup.
Mm-hmm.
They do some of the right things, and then it progressively gets worse every minute the movie continues.
I do. It's not without its problems, I will say. Like, I liked it a lot. Like, at its core, they nailed the aesthetic to me is one of the big things that I liked. I liked that we kind of went back to like the diesel sort of industrial punk of things. They were like straight up doing stop motion and everything. I loved it. It was great.
Or did they nail the aesthetic of very specifically Alien Isolation?
I mean, it's also Alien, the first one. I mean, they're very much, it's a more industrial planet and everything. I liked everything about the ships. I thought they were great.
On the inside. Second they went outside of the ship, it looked like dog shit, but okay.
Nah, it looked great. My problems are more character driven. Like, I did not like a lot of the main cast outside of, there's 2 stars of this movie to me, and one of them is my sweet boy Andy, who is my favorite, and I love him, and he did nothing wrong.
The other one has to be the other android. if you think Andy's one of your 2, it's
and the girl was fine.
It's the guy trying to be Bilbo Baggins.
The lead girl was okay. I can't remember her name. She was fine. Rain is her name.
Discount Ray.
Okay. Female protagonist of a sci-fi film.
Haircut,
okay.
Similar outfit. Many pointed shots where we talk about hope and stare into the distance.
I mean, she just kind of has a tank top or whatever, like a very 80s style of like, just I cut the sleeves off of my shirt. Like, it's very much in the realm of what they wore in the first one. I mean, it's like in the future, but locked in the 80s.
2024 movie.
Yeah, because that's with it fits in the aesthetic of the universe.
It fits very specifically in the aesthetic of what they were trying to capture, yes.
Yeah, which was the universe of the films that they were in.
Some of them.
The other ones that don't
Mostly,
look like that are like far off in the future, way after these movies. Because this one takes place like between Alien 1 and 2.
yeah. I just I would argue that you're on the right track with the acting being very bad,
Oh,
and you
I hate
shouldn't
most of the
extend that to
characters.
very many people.
I
I think
genuinely hated most of them.
the androids did well enough, but you can tell what the director was doing.
Uh-huh.
And the biggest mistake that they made is they made Alien a slasher movie.
I think it was barely a slasher movie. There's like 4 deaths in the
I
whole movie.
I
Like,
how many people were in the whole movie?
that's the thing. I think one of my biggest problems is I would have liked maybe a couple more crew members, or maybe like give me a couple more minutes learning who the hell they were, because as soon as they died, I was like, oh no,
That
the
was
bald
but that's the
pilot
point.
went away.
Right. No,
Oh
but that's the
no.
point. It's a slasher movie. You instantly dislike all of them because they all sucked ass. All of them sucked ass. And then as they died, you felt nothing, and in fact are cheering on the enemies. The problem is it wasn't executed well. It wasn't a good slasher movie. They just made it a slasher movie. And I would like, I don't think there's anything wrong with the character development had they approached it that way throughout. But then they had to do the nostalgia trip.
Yeah, I'm
There
okay
are
with it.
okay. There are some of the worst, and maybe it's just that it didn't register to you for all of them. Like there's one that's blatantly obvious where your sweet boy Andy gets to tear a line out of another Alien movie.
Oh, 100%.
But
Like that's
he
100% just
does
a
it,
fan service. Like it didn't fit his character at all, but I was like, whatever.
and it's bad.
It
Like it's
No,
very
I liked it. I was like, okay, he did the line. Ha ha ha.
and that's probably where we're gonna see differently. Is I was expecting a good new movie, not let's do a soft reboot.
I am okay with it kind of being like a soft reboot and moving in like another direction of like, this is way better of a direction than they've been moving with the Alien movies. It's maybe that's why I liked it, is because the last two I was like, these movies are
Um,
trash. Like
Compared to what, though?
garbage.
I feel like I remember people liking Covenant a lot.
Was that the most recent one? I can't ever remember
I mean,
which
it
one.
was the most
It was
recent one that had
Prometheus and then
Alien in the name.
Covenant was fine, I guess. It was okay.
Looks better than this movie.
No, wrong. Factually wrong. This one is way better.
Give me one sequence of action that was interesting in this film.
What do you mean?
The entire thing was just a bad CGI fest. They rushed things rather than having any
It's
creeping
all
dread.
practical effects. What do you mean a bad CGI fest? There's like 3 CGI shots in the whole movie. Everything is like stop motion models. What are you talking about?
You're telling me when they dropped an elevator shaft on a bunch of CGI aliens that were chasing up a tunnel, that looked really good to you? Or when
It
they
looked
had to sprint
fine.
away from a bunch of face huggers that looked like bad head crab models from Half-Life Alyx?
It was fine.
Like, it I understand you're a fanboy, and I'm gonna be as gentle as I can be, but there are some fundamentally broken parts of this movie, and it's a shame because they didn't market it the way that it turned out.
I am just blown away because I thought I was going to come in here being a hater on this thing, and I'm the one on the other side of this.
So here's let's roll it all the way back because we can start from the jump here. Because I do agree, right? The first like 10 to 15 minutes of this movie are very promising.
The cold open was amazing. I was sitting there, I was like, I was uncomfortable for like the first 5 seconds, just in the silence. For a minute, I thought the movie theater was broken. Genuinely, I was like, is this movie fucked up? Like, what's going on? Like, I genuinely was like uncomfortable how quiet it was.
Yeah, I mean, again, you've got they're doing some of the right set dressing. Like it feels grimy, it feels lived in. Like I don't have complaints with the inside and the material. Like the background, the set dressing is very good. And we'll get into how it contrasts against the things that really don't look good. But the computers, the terminals, the functional door switches.
Mm-hmm.
You think the key was a little weird, but whatever. Like there's a lot of stuff they got right in the look and feel of the movie, and I cannot tell or say enough that I did enjoy a lot of elements of it. Now, they did the fonts pretty well, although the whatever the year was at the mining colony overlay was a little bit gauche, and they probably could have just left that out entirely. But again, like the fonts on screen, like they're using original fonts, like they're trying
Hmm.
to very much evoke very specifically aliens to me.
Yeah.
Not
Th-
Alien,
They're kind of like
not
hitting
Alien 3,
both
not
is the thing.
Resurrection.
They're kind of
Although
hitting
this is
Alien and
basically
Aliens. Yeah.
yeah. Although this is basically the plot of Resurrection is the other thing
Well,
that
we could talk
say
about that a
it.
little bit deeper in there. That did not escape me. I said that as I walked out of the theater. I was like, wait a minute, this had the exact
Just
same ending as Alien 4.
with worse acting and less likable characters. Yeah. I mean, yes, it is absolutely Alien 4 in many, many ways, to the point where there are multiple androids interacting with each other. But I think that we're excited, the people that are excited rather, are seeing it positively because it's a new Alien thing for the first time in half a decade, right? I mean, not as long as
It's
some other
been
franchises.
almost, yeah, like 2016, 2017 was Alien Covenant. That was like the last Alien thing we got.
Except for the 3 video games. But still, right? It's functionally it's new Alien stuff for people. They like it. I get that. It's also trying to bring in a new audience. I get that. But the egregious amount of fan service, like the fact that she's wearing a pair of Reeboks with straps that are officially licensed merch that you can buy.
I'm totally not trying to buy a pair of those.
Just buy another pair of Reeboks. It's the same aesthetic.
I know,
Why
but
do
they
you
don't
need
have
the Alien ones?
but they don't have the Wayland Yutani logo in the heel, so I leave little Wayland Yutani footprints everywhere and let people know
No,
that
they
I
just
am
say
loyal to
Reebok
the
on the
company.
side. Reebok, this other company that exists, is all over it. Anyway, it's fine. But like, it opened and you're like, okay, it feels right. In the same way that like Force Awakens or
Mhm.
what's another recent reboot that Evil Dead, I would argue, is the same way, where it starts very much in the right vein. It feels right. It feels true to
Mhm. Well,
the
down to like
world.
it fits, like they even did like the stop motion for like the models and things. Like I can see like the jittering of like this is obviously a model that they used for like stop motion, and I'm like, that's incredible. I love that. I'm always a big fan.
Well, I'm still just strictly speaking on the planet. There wasn't a whole lot of
Hmm.
much of anything else, right? It's mostly just set dressing and here's this grimy world.
Which
You get
I
everything you need, which is we need to get out of here. They're forcing us to keep working for the corporation forever, so we're desperate, we've got to find a way out.
I
That
liked
was all played
seeing the
fairly well.
planet. That was, to me, at least as someone who's liked a lot of the Alien films, it was interesting to me to like give me like some of the world of this, because every other Alien film has been like there's like maybe 10 people, and I liked getting some more of like the feeling of the world outside of it. The rest of them
We
have been very
we
empty.
we need to rewatch Alien 3, friend. That's the prison one.
Alien 3's, those
I
movies don't
love
exist.
Alien 3. Fuck you. David
Alien
Fincher is an awesome director.
Alien 3 and 4 don't exist to me. Those are
No.
movies that went straight to the trash. Terrible
Okay.
movies.
Compared to this thing,
Yes. This is way better.
that's some wild shit.
Way better in every way.
I give this thing like a firm like 5 out of 10. It is a movie. Like they did at least do that, although there's a lot of plot holes and a lot of weird shit that they did. Like of all the things that we needed to keep in this movie, it's the fact that you can generate an alien human hybrid in 12 seconds.
Yeah, that was
Or even before that, where you can make a Xeno in about
so
30
in like
seconds. It takes
that
the time that it takes you to run down a hallway.
that first one you mentioned very much. I think from what I looked into this a little bit. This movie was originally just slated to be a Hulu exclusive. Like it was just going to go straight to Hulu, and then
That would be
Disney
better.
got involved and was like, "No, we're going to do this as a theatrical release. I think they saw how well the Predator movie did going straight to Hulu and went, no, well, this thing needs to go to a theater. And I think at
Well,
that point, from what I
it does feel
understand,
like it's made for streaming.
that last plot point, there's like a whole nother like mini movie at the end of this movie, kind of like Alien 1 did, but it's still like, from my understanding, that plot point might have been added later after most of the movie had already been filmed and just tacked on at the end when they decided to move it to the theater because they're like, it needs to be bigger. It can't be an hour and a half. It needs to be at least a full 2 hours.
It would have worked better as a slasher if they send off pregnant girl and they're gonna go survive together, and then she
Mm-hmm.
goes back down the hallway to save the android, and you get a slasher kill off screen.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, better movie. You don't have the worst CGI I've seen in years on this weird little hop skippy flesh toned xenomorph.
That thing creeped the
Anyway.
fuck out of me. I love that thing.
It looks so bad.
It looked terrifying. You just
It
hate
looked like-
CG in anything, is what I'm feeling like. Every time there's a movie that has any CG, all it is this movie look bad.
It looked like a 2012 Netflix series. Tell me that creature looked better than the thing from Stranger Things.
It did. Are justified. Absolutely, it did.
It was glossy and looked like it was.
It was wet.
So, some of it is that you're looking off of a big screen versus a screen at home. Like I get that, and maybe that's what it is. Is it bothers me far more in theaters? But it's the same reason I'm not going to see a Marvel movie. If I wanted to watch a CGI cutscene from a video game, I'd stay at home. Like, it's that simple. And nothing of consequence happens in the last 30 minutes of this movie. It's so boring and predictable.
Yeah, that was
Like,
a point that I
the
didn't
second
care
she
for
injects
that
the
too
thing, you're
much.
like, oh, everybody's going to be fine for another 20 minutes.
I literally saw her do that, and I was like, why did you do that? Was my first question. I was like, you're on the ship. Get in the cryopod. You are fine. Like, you are safe. Why are you doing this? I've thought about it more and been like, did she think that her baby was dying and that's why she injected it to be like, I'm going to save my baby? Was that the thought process? It just didn't make sense to me.
The baby from some asshole.
Yeah, who very much, I was like, again, that throwaway line in that scene makes me feel like her entire thing at the end of the movie and that one scene where she was having morning sickness were like done after the entire film had already been finished and just got stuck in there to be like, we have to have a plot point for this character and we need to extend another 30 minutes of this movie.
Well, and it could be. I mean, I don't want to dwell too long on the actors' performances because they're probably fine. Like
They're fine.
I can't. Well, I don't want to punch down on somebody who's whether they're new to the industry or I just am not aware of them.
With peace and love. Sorry, go ahead. I have a point that I was gonna make, but you go on.
Well, if you're gonna hire somebody, right, to be in these roles in this high profile blockbuster film, I assume they're people that we know. And so, like, yeah, I'll assume that someone in this cast was somebody that we knew, whether it's Euphoria.
This movie cost
whatever.
them nothing. They spent like no money on this movie. It's part of it.
And I guess my point is, you know, like, who, right? Who is, like, why did we not get any star power?
I think I think it's a symptom of this was supposed to be a straight to streaming movie like that Predator movie, and they spent all of their budget on set dressing. Because that's very clearly where all of the money in this movie went, is set dressing and practical effects.
The first film that I recognize that any of these guys have been in is the male lead wasn't the Chav Abruv. He was a Bobby in Morbius. He was in the Morbin Time movie. The pregnant girl was Dora in Dora the Explorer, the live action film.
Yes.
That movie that I definitely watched.
That blockbuster film that I saw and loved.
I mean, in fairness, I unironically would like to see that. I think it would
Boots
be a lot
is
of
Danny
fun to watch.
Trejo, so I kind of want to.
The Oibrev Chav that was loud the whole movie was he was a vandal in The Batman. Oh, and he was in After Sun. That'll actually explain it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things.
I just
But
I go ahead.
you have a director that's fairly well trusted to make money in the industry. You have because the other thing they made, right? I don't know if you've seen Don't Breathe or Don't Breathe 2. I'm not a
I
huge fan.
I,
This definitely
I
feels
didn't
more in
see
that
them,
vein.
but I'm guessing they were probably cheap movies that made the studio money because if like if you had a decently
The
filled
sequel,
theater, they would make money.
yeah, I mean, they're fine. They're very much we're making a Raimi film.
Hmm.
Like,
I mean,
and you can tell, like, there's the way that this movie is shot is not like an Alien movie. It's like a Sam Raimi movie, which is fine. Like, good
yeah.
for them. They even do the dolly shot, right? They've got the shot where the camera drags down a hallway. But like, I really don't want to come off as super negative about everything. But from what this was marketed to be, which is a true successor and in the vein of the original Alien, this wasn't scary. It wasn't
It wasn't. I'll
tense.
give it that.
It
There
wasn't,
was not a lot of tension, a lot of moments.
like the best scene in this movie, and the only time that you don't think the characters are absolute idiots is when they have to stealth through
Hmm.
the one room full of facehuggers, making
Yeah.
the facehuggers genuinely scary. Now, then they of course act like absolute idiots
Yeah, the main leader
and
kid
go live mic in the middle of a room full of hostiles.
doesn't
Whatever.
immediately just throw it across the room and like just turn it off or something. Like,
And again, like the dialogue throughout is just rough. Like the fact that we can't believe that this android is trying to preserve their lives over and over again.
okay, speaking of dialogue, I can understand accents well. I use most British accents. I can 99% of time understand what they're saying. Half of this
You don't
movie,
like porn?
I'm just like, oi, fucking what, bruv? The fuck you just say? Because I don't understand a word you just fucking said. You just said a bunch of gibberish to me, and I looked at it and just went, there's something
Are you
important with what they just said, and I don't know what it was because I couldn't
yeah.
understand a fucking word of any of like the two main boys at all. This
But
whole movie.
uh
Besides Andy. Andy, I can understand Andy, but like the other two guys, I could barely understand a word they were fucking saying every time they were talking.
see the other male lead that I don't know the name of, but the guy that it's his sister.
Yeah.
He didn't have an accent.
Yes,
They
he
had to make a
did.
mix.
He had
No.
a. He sounded like the most Irish British boy ever. Like him and the other one were like just oi boy for boy, brav brav, oi
I
brav.
think you were just paying attention to the guy that never stops talking, that
They
had a
both
bunch of lines.
sounded
He
the
was.
same. They both like sounded exactly the same with accents. Like I couldn't
I
understand a
wish
word
I
they were
had a
saying.
clip to play for you because this is very impressive to me. Now, this
I've
leads
heard
to
other people
another.
say it is the thing. I'm not the only one. I was like, what the fuck are they saying?
Well, I had a thick accent, which he did, but
I was like, I
like
need some subtitles here, motherfuckers.
that's also just a you problem. But this movie specifically, the like audio mixing's also garbage. It is very reminiscent of like 2008 era movies, like Casino Royale, where you can't hear a fucking thing that's happening, and then you start to turn the remote up, and then it's giant explosions, and you can't hear anything again.
That's like every movie and television show to me nowadays. Is it's like, all right, gotta crank the volume because it's dialogue, and then we jump to another scene with deafening music that is way louder than everything else, and I have to turn the volume down again.
And maybe it's just some of the stuff that I watch, but like generally, if you have a decent surround sound setup, accurately set up, not just a sound bar with a sub, right? If you've got rear channel speakers and everything else, like generally audio design for movies beyond just generic blockbuster, they at least try to make it so that there's some intelligible, you know, dialogue, or you can boost the dialogue in the settings with Dolby, like whatever you need to do, because if you mix it the same way you do for the theater, you're gonna have a bad time. But like, holy shit, were there absolutely sequences where it wasn't a problem of me understanding them. The dialogue was completely drowned out by the movie. Whether it was the
Mm-hmm.
music that was overpowering the dialogue, which is whew, a choice to make, or if it was just noises, like they would just have a noise down the hallway that's rushing up, and they'd, like shouting in the movie, and there's you're like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, Andy, cool. Like, all right. When they're beating on the door, open the door, that whole sequence, it I am fairly certain there is a fourth Foley like voice actor in that sequence.
There very well might be, honestly.
I just, it was one of those things that, like, watching it in real time, I'm like, so they overdubbed a lot of this and they still didn't get the dialogue in the scene. And I don't understand how you managed that. I do think they made a huge, not a huge misstep, but I think the pacing was way off. Because again, slasher movie, we should have paced it out. You had like most slasher films are about an hour and a half, and you usually don't get a kill for the first hour. You might get one opening shot where like if
we're
the
gonna
opening
establish
sequence
the
was
threat.
the alien absolutely wrecking stuff in the background while the credits ran on the space station, it'd be kitschy, but it would establish like, oh right, yeah, alien, right, okay, and then you've got your thing for later. But this wasn't made for people that aren't fans of Alien, even though they're treating it like they're trying to get new fans for Alien. So right, it's all fan service, right? Who's the alien? Oh, it's not just any random alien. It is the big boy alien from the first movie.
The first one, yeah.
And like, somehow, even though it's been a relatively short amount of time and they haven't really had supplies that are readily available to them, and supposedly they're all in stasis, there's also a full living colony of aliens on one half of this space station.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, they didn't really establish how long the station had been like in orbit, like if it was there the whole time. Like there's a lot of like the beginning reasons of them understanding that there is this space station up there is kind of nebulous at best.
Your max timeline's like 6 months though.
Yeah, no, I get you. It definitely like rapidly took
all
over.
Of the life support and everything was off when they got there, and then they had to turn it on.
Yeah.
And that's when things started waking up, was actually when they were defrosting one of the rooms. Somehow nothing else is waking up until we crash our ship. Like, the story was,
I think the aliens had really just taken over the other half of the station that they hadn't quite gotten to yet, that they went to, because that was where the ship was part of it. Like, because it was two separate halves of like a space station
with connected hallways and
ventilation. Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I can understand.
And they spit acid.
They don't spit acid. They bleed acid. It's an important distinction.
Okay. I'm sure they would have found a way to get through, considering it has happened in the Alien series before, where they have intentionally bled to get through surfaces.
No, I know. It was more of, I think, I took it as just there wasn't anyone alive on that side of the ship, so they just weren't over there. Like, they just hadn't gotten to expanding their little hive center from where they were to the other side yet.
But do they need to eat? Do they need to breathe?
Apparently not. They don't, apparently, is the things that we've learned about these so-called perfect organisms, is they don't need to eat or breathe. They just need bodies to breed, I guess.
Yeah, they've had to in the past. Like, you're able to defeat them by launching them into the coldness of space. You know what happens on a space station with no life support systems?
I always think we took that as, like, it wasn't so much killing them because they were in space. It was just getting them away from us into space and getting them away from the spaceship. Like, they're just floating around out there somewhere. Which is what happened in this one.
Rock thing.
Apparently it made like a big cocoon and turned into like a big rock thing, so it could like transport itself through space somehow.
And they had to work very hard to open that. Maybe all of the other aliens that have been floating around in the void of space with no life support or temperature or anything else would be in their own little cocoons instead of in a thriving colony that they have to, again, sneak through, but then they decide arbitrarily not to.
Yeah.
Like, again, it works as a slasher because it's people making really fucking stupid decisions over and over again. Where it doesn't work for me is they didn't really do interesting kills, and I don't know, like, was this an R-rated
No.
film?
Yeah, it was. It
Okay,
was an
so
R-rated
that's
film.
oh, well then that does surprise me because they really didn't put the effort in to, like, I'm not saying it needs to be gory, but like do something interesting instead of
That was one of
got
my
pulled up the
biggest
hallway.
complaints
Ooh,
was it was
we got
partially
the
a
chest
symptom
burster
of
scene again.
there's only 5 crew members, so you can only have maybe a maximum of 5 kills at least with what we had. And then the ones we had were just kind of, all right, we got the one who's a chest burster. All right, at least it was cool
No, they
seeing
did
it,
it
I
twice.
guess. Yeah.
They did it twice.
Yeah. It was cool seeing it, I guess.
Because now we have a birth burster.
Yeah, that one was at least something kind of different. But like, we have that one, and then we have the fucking asshole young adult novel villain guy get acid dropped on him after he like stabs one of them and he just explodes, I guess.
See,
And that was kind of just like really? That was it?
The worst part about this is he had the most arc of any character in this movie.
Yeah, and it was because you were supposed to hate him, and then his death wasn't even satisfying. It was like,
Well,
oh no.
Like he's a dick, but he's being a dick to a toaster.
He's being a dick to like the one sympathetic character in this movie that we've established.
Correct. But in the world of Alien,
everyone hates androids. I know.
And everybody on board has already agreed to get rid of this guy. He is the casualty of them getting to their freedom. And he's the only one that has a reason to not feel bad about it. Because a synth murdered his mommy.
Yeah. I mean, like, I get it. He's just an asshole. That's the point. He's supposed to be an asshole. And I just wanted a little bit more of a satisfying death for him, at least, to be like, yeah, fuck that guy.
See, I like it better if that happens to the female lead, who does, I guess, learn that the best thing you should do is dive into a hall full of aliens for autopilot, I think, purposes. I don't really know. Like, that was such an awkward scene that led to 4 more awkward, unnecessary scenes. And
that scene is one I dislike the most, I think, out of all of them, and is the dumbest scene to me in the movie.
That you run away from them and they leave you alone, and then you go and nobody's bothering you, and you wake him up and you get a magic gun fire that doesn't seem to bother things, and then we get 0G acid blood, and somehow neither of us are affected by the acid. Like, that's the one that pissed me off. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, this is the worst idea you could possibly have, is aerosolized acid blood in a hallway. And it's like, no, it's made these nice, cute little like streams and made like a big spiral. And I'm just like, that is my limited understanding of this makes this seem like this would not work at all. I mean, that is how liquid would work in a vacuum, in zero gravity. However,
I would think there would be hundreds of thousands of little tiny globules floating around that are just acid floating in space.
Because of the physics of like spraying and shooting, like it makes sense that it would happen. What does not make sense is that you would be able to 0G dodge the shit.
No, yeah, that's you would not be able to go through that. That shit would be like there's just a web of death is what it looked like to me. I was like, there's no way this would have worked. You would have died.
Well, and if we spent more time in there, like, yes, the principles of liquids would have all of that coagulate into like a spherical shape, but in the moments following shooting and the contraphysics there, like, functionally it could kind of work. Practically, it is like, I know you can suspend your disbelief for movies. I know that you can do that, but when you're trying to make a grounded movie and trying to have stakes,
the scene that took me out of it. That was one that very much like my brain just went, okay, but like you shoot an alien, its body starts spinning while it's shooting blood out of it. It wouldn't just be like a nice clean little line, I don't think. Like that, it just seems like it would have aerosolized into like this terrifying like blob of just tiny acid particles.
What happens if you poke a hole in your vein?
I mean, it starts leaking out.
It spurts.
Yeah, it spurts.
Because there's pressure.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. But it wouldn't be like a connected perfect line is what I'm getting at. Like it would have been disconnected. Like there would be hundreds of tiny globules because he's also spinning and as well as the pressure.
I
from the impact of the bullet
possibly.
impacting with him and going and launching it outward.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's very dumb.
It just didn't make
It's
sense. The whole
it's
thing didn't make sense to me at
it's
all.
not the worst sequence, but I like that they made a problem
It is the
that
worst
sort of made
sequence, I think.
sense, and then
It looks cool, I guess.
the entire elevator shaft sequence where we arbitrarily decide that we don't remember that there's gravity cycling, even though that was a major plot point earlier, and we're just gonna free float and then free fall. Like, it's
My
just bad.
my thing that blew my mind was they're like, the elevator won't work without gravity, and I just went, wait, you guys are just using cable elevators in a fucking space station? We're not using like
Mhm.
solid link elevator chains or anything here. Like that's a thing that happens on Earth. I was like, okay,
Well, and
this
there
doesn't
are
make any sense
actively,
to me.
but there's actively like turbo lifts and things in Alien already. Like, it just,
Yes,
yet technically
in
it's
this
not in
movie.
Alien. But yeah, I just like the contrived situations to make things like, again, they didn't need the escalation in the sequence with the facehuggers. Just sneaking through that room and
Hmm.
having to be very quiet and still, and toward the end one of you makes a noise unintentionally and you have to chuck the flare, and like that would have been a very interesting sequence.
Yeah, you like
Instead,
bump a crate or like you accidentally step on one or back into one and freak out. Like it's there. It's already there. You
and
didn't need the stupid
instead
radio sequence.
and instead we took the interesting sequence and we added a bunch of unnecessary non-practical effects. It goes from interesting, tense sequence, looks good, to, oh my goodness, let's run down a hallway and these things skitter faster than mice. And look, they're chasing the flare, and then they realize it's not the flare and they chase after us, and now their little fingies are going through the door. And one of them, like, every time you get a close up of one, the facehuggers, well, mostly look good. Like the fight sequence in the semi flooded room was also pretty rough. But yeah, like, let's go all the way back to that sequence. We created a problem for ourselves. You know what happened after they couldn't get through the door? While they're waiting for him to reboot so they can't unlock the door normally?
What they
Because they
start stuff.
start trying to bash the window. Why
I mean,
did
yeah.
none of the four of them think, hey, we're not spending time here. It's about to crash into asteroid. Maybe if the door not open, we force a way through door. Movie over.
I just think that they weren't as worried about it until there were things trying to kill them in the room.
The fucking temperature was trying to kill them in the room. They were freezing to death.
That room they weren't worried about the temperature. It wasn't like leaking and freezing. It was getting hot in that
Oh,
room.
no, he froze his hand off. That's right. It was a warm
Yeah,
room. So
yeah,
either way,
it was a warm
they're-
room. It just leaked a little on his finger and like broke his finger or some shit. Whatever.
I took that as flash froze it. But yeah, I mean,
Basically.
but again, you're in a room with an injury and you're in a rush to get this shit. Like, they genuinely were, and then they both accelerate their own timeline and everything. Anyway, we've spent enough time on this sequence. I have to talk about the dog shit into this movie. There is not a single redeeming sequence from the moment that she's in the elevator shaft with pregnant girl and they're going to be the last survivors and they're going to get off the colony. Not a redeeming sequence from that moment on. Not a good sequence, not a good line of dialogue, not an interesting visual, nothing. They've got the rings of Saturn that they're slowly crashing into. Even though they've succeeded and survived, rather than boosting until they got clear of the wreckage, they just they went straight to fucking autopilot and decided that they were going to strap in for the ride. In what world? In what world are you going to turn on the autopilot when you're in close proximity to lethal hazards and an exploding fucking space station?
Apparently,
and then the rest of the movie,
the one where neither of the people left are pilots, is part of the issue, I think.
The fucking androids seemed to pretty well handle the fucking manual controls when they needed them.
They turned him back to dumb Andy at the beginning, so he wasn't as effective.
Sure. But running the risk of trying to plan your escape with a computer that you don't trust, you just ripped out the connector for the other one. You've got the slow motion destruction. Like, again, if that was the end of the movie, you hadn't done the whole sequence where you run back to save your friend, let her still be a coward. Or don't have that sequence at all. Because that was just fundamentally bad. Okay for character development. Like, I would have been fine if she's carrying around Andy and they get attacked in the elevator and she
Mm-hmm.
won't leave him behind. Like, that makes sense from a plot perspective.
Yeah.
But the idea that you run all the way back, then you keep running the other direction. Like, I just, again, slasher movie. They tried to make a slasher movie and they didn't do it. But so you get to the ship after all of the things that we were already complaining about.
Mm-hmm.
And Homegirl has decided to inject herself with bullshit.
Yeah,
We
that
bet
was
how many sequences of this movie have we used the X-ray that's on the ship still to identify whether or not we have problems? Oh, right, in a
Twice.
sequence with this character.
One time, yeah.
She was kidnapped by aliens. At the very least, we would have checked to see if she's infected, right? Of course
Hopefully.
we would.
Yeah. They just assumed that she wasn't because there wasn't like a dead face hugger at the base of her feet or something.
Again, so she gets dumped in a pod, wakes up 5 seconds later, vital signs are flatlining
Mm-hmm.
because she's giving birth.
Mm-hmm.
Then she gives birth, and rather than addressing that in any way, shape, or form, we just fuck off. We don't wake up the android to tell him what's going on while we've got this cube,
Mm-hmm.
or oval shaped whatever. We leave her presumably bleeding out.
Mm-hmm.
And we go on this long side quest. And then I guess there's acid, so she runs off, but she doesn't like put on real clothes. And then she loses track of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
None of these sequences make sense. They don't even really feel like they're happening in the same space. But for some reason, she goes to the cargo bay. And like, I assume that she was trying to drop it in the cargo portion and then they were going to jettison the cargo portion, just like she ends up doing anyway.
Yeah.
But there's no way that you could have just put it in the fucking airlock. You know, the one that you used to get in and out.
Yeah, from what I remember, she like when the egg starts falling through the ship, she runs off to like get the cryo thing that they use to like freeze the face hugger, and that's where she went. And then she went down to the cargo hold looking for it because she was trying to kill it. And then it was, where did it go? It's not in the cargo bay anymore. It's gone back up while you were down there looking for it.
Except it didn't, because you see in that shot that it's down there with her.
Yeah, and then it just scampered up into the ceiling.
And it fucks off. Just to have that sequence. I don't understand. Why did it not attack her? It's looking to eat people.
It was still figuring itself out, I guess. I don't know.
Andy wakes up on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably because the ship has told him that they've gone off autopilot.
It's like, hey, something's wrong. Wake up, android.
And she goes upstairs, and he goes to protect her. Gets slashed by, again, I can't describe this as anything but like a discount Abe Sapien, but flesh colored. Like, it was just a bad character design. And he kind of looked like a thumb, and he's nowhere near anything remotely
He was very
close.
Unsettling. Everyone in my theater like was gasping and like could not look at him for more than like a second. They found him so uncanny valley scary. Like, they did not like him.
It just isn't anywhere near unique. It's, oh wow, there's an alien human hybrid. What does it look like? It's just kind of a long guy.
It's an unsettlingly long man. I mean, that's
at least make his head look like a Xeno. That'd be fun. Just
yeah. They gave him like
dildo.
weird Xeno. They gave him like weird Xeno hips and legs and like a tail.
Teeth. Like the primary defining factor is that he has teeth and he has a tiny little baby mouth that has lips instead of a tiny little baby mouth that's just a sucker.
Yeah, he had like the little black teeth and like the little sucker mouth.
I was laughing the whole fucking time. It looked so goofy. It was like when you saw Pennywise doing his dance at the end of it. Like, that is the level of dumb fucking ending this movie had. Of, I'm supposed to be scared of that?
That thing creeped me the fuck out, man. I didn't like that thing. Everyone in my theater was like, this thing is terrifying and like jump scared by it. Like that thing got people.
I just like I'm trying to get a picture of this guy,
Now I
which
know
of course they're
exactly
not
what it
gonna
looks
share.
like. I mean, yeah,
I
it's
I I know, but like again, he kind of, you know what's really sad is he kind of just looks like David Desmalkin.
he definitely does.
Like,
It's like you shaved him and he's just like,
no, but like, and yeah, he's tall, like he's extra tall, but like very much, I just, the more I looked at, like, there were so many interesting things you could have done, and instead it's a really skinny guy.
it's creepy. It's a
That's
creepy
all
dude.
that's all we really took from the Xeno is we
It's
turned
an
him
8-foot tall, like
we turned him
wet.
flesh colored, and we made his head look real bald. Have you ever seen Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor?
Yes.
Because this is gonna scare you almost as much.
Nah, this thing was creepier than that. It just was unsettling to look at. It wasn't like as scary as a xenomorph, but I don't think it's different. It's supposed to be unsettling in the fact that it looks humanoid more so
I
than the xenomorphs
understand,
do.
but I haven't been able to find it. But like, I would argue, um,
I thought for a
and I'll
second it was
drop.
going to be one of the engineers or something. Like I thought they were going to make it like
Well,
the
that's the thing
Prometheus
is
thing because he looked like it for a second. I was like, oh
it
no,
is his face.
oh
It is his
no,
face. It
no,
looks the
no,
same
no.
to me. But I dropped it in chat. So this is what the alien looks like in Resurrection. That's also an alien human hybrid. And I think
That
it's
thing looks infinitely goofier in every way to me.
the
That thing's
same.
no,
It's the exact same character design, except they put a person head on top.
that thing looks way
down to the
goofier.
weird, down to the weird front vagina. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Side by side, they are almost the same. The difference is it has this weird human head that doesn't even look all that different. It looks like the mocap actor if you look up his face. Like, I don't understand the choices that were made. I guess maybe it was saving on the budget. Actually, that's exactly what it is. They saved a ton on the budget making that face. Never mind. I take it all back. They were on a budget.
Again,
Whatever.
this movie was $80 million, like total for the whole thing.
Okay, do we want to look at the cost to produce all the other Alien movies?
I mean, probably it's probably way bigger than those, but I mean, for a modern film, that's not bad compared to like the dog shit Borderlands movie being like 120 million or something.
Yeah, most of that comes down to reshoots. I mean, like, if we're going to be really honest. Ooh, that actually does surprise me. I figured the first one would have been up on the higher end.
It cost as much as like the entire season of The Acolyte did for Disney, is one of the things. And that movie, that series looked like dog shit.
I mean, series should cost more. Like, when we're doing what we do now,
I know,
which is
that's what I'm saying.
television.
But
it's
it was
like 10 episodes, so 10 hours of TV.
I know.
Like,
I'm saying that 10 hours cost as much as this movie did, but it looked way worse and was not. I don't. Anyway.
But yeah, original Alien was 11. Aliens was 18. Prometheus was a $130 million movie.
Yeah.
Whew!
Yeah.
That's wild. Let's see, box office history. That's actually what I wanted to look at. So, Alien saw a return of 170 mil. Aliens saw a return that was slightly less than that. Alien 3, significantly less, right? They made it on a budget of 55 and they only made 150. Resurrection was 60. They made 160. That's a pretty good return.
That movie,
but
so bad.
There are elements like the fact that Winona Ryder's in it is really rough. I would
Ron
argue that for
Perlman
most
could
things.
not save that movie. As much as I love Ron Perlman, he could not save Alien 4.
He's in Resurrection?
Oh, he absolutely is. He has an incredible scene.
I know he's in Alien. I just didn't think it was that movie.
He is. He's in an incredible scene where they're climbing up a ladder and he wraps his legs around the ladder, folds himself upside down and starts shooting aliens with dual akimbo pistols and murders the fuck out of them and like falls to his death or something afterwards.
Huh. So just a couple of interesting asides here. So AVP was a
Uh-huh.
budget of 70 million, which is just slightly less than this, and did 170. Alien vs Predator Requiem, what do you think its budget was?
Bet you it was like 110 million.
40.
That makes a lot of
The
sense.
sequel, the
Having
sequel
seen
is
that
half the
movie,
price of the original.
have you seen that movie?
I haven't seen either of them because why the fuck would I
There's
watch those movies?
there's no effects in that movie. It is literally just like a town, and there is all of the budget went into they made a Predator alien hybrid suit, and that's the
yeah.
whole like that thing is
Hell yeah.
a couple times in the it has some really unsettling scenes that they kind of paid homage to a little bit in this with like the pregnant girl and her getting like an alien inside of her. Like there's a scene where that alien was special because it also could make eggs and make more aliens, which was crazy. And like it went to like a maternity ward in a hospital and just started shoving its tongue down the mouths of like pregnant women and like making them have like 8 to 10 xenomorph babies gestate inside of them at a time. It was very
Okay,
unsettling.
If they could make them by themselves, why go to? It's fine. I'm not gonna watch that.
Gestated
I probably
faster,
will never
I
watch
guess.
Never mind. If we start doing movie nights, then maybe I'll watch it. But
I
am
am an AVPR apologist. I liked that movie.
I like the comics. The comics are the only thing I've consumed out of Alien versus Predator, the series. And
I
it's
forget
because,
that there's a Predator in the AVPR movie. Oh my gosh. That movie was.
but there is a comic series that is Alien versus Predator versus Terminator, and it is choice. But no. So would it surprise you that that movie also like tripled its budget? Like they made
absolutely.
money back on that. Now, what movie do you think is the most profitable Alien movie in terms of dollars? I don't know that I could go percentages on this because I'm not doing math that well.
I feel like it's Aliens.
Fucking Prometheus.
Of course it is.
On a budget of 125 million, which is a lot, they returned 402, which is 3 times the next closest. No,
I'm realizing that that's because that was like the first Alien thing we had gotten in like 20 years.
like 3 fucking years. AVP Requiem had come out like 4 years.
Yeah, but that was people hated that. I don't know. People were hoping it was Ridley Scott coming back to the series. Everyone was like, "Yes, we're gonna have true Alien again." And then they saw it and they went, "What the fuck was that?"
And that's where. So again, the best performances I think in this film are from Knockoff Ian Holm and from Andy the Robot. Right?
I love him.
The most Prometheus or the most egregious, like as much as you were hoping for more, the 2 villain monologues that we got from Ian Holm were painful for me. Like 100% it's studio notes. Like this feels like they forced it, like in case you weren't paying attention, here's the plot of the movie.
It feels like the entire plot of
shit.
Rook being in this movie was, like I said, like the same thing. Like it feels like it was tacked on after the fact because his face looked terrible. Like as much as I'm not a CGI hater, his looked bad. It was not good. It was like they overlaid him over the face of somebody else that they'd already shot on and did not do a good job of it.
Well, that's how they did the effect. It is a fake, like the
it's a deep fake.
Show up
it's a deep fake.
Right.
It's a bad deep fake, but it looks bad except for like in the CRT television they had it on one time where I was like, at least I understand this one looking like dog shit because it's on like the little CRT TV or whatever. It's at least immersive. But like when they're in the room talking to him, I'm like, this looks so bad.
Well, it was an actor called Daniel Betts who does resemble him. He's you might know him from Fury. He's one of them Germans.
Okay.
Um, I it
He is a very
look,
German-looking man, I guess.
there's only like 15 guys in the movie. Like, let's be honest, it's mostly four guys pissing on each other in a
In a
tank.
tank, yeah.
Well, I just looked it up, and his name is Burgermeister. I do not remember the role of Burgermeister in Fury,
Oh,
but I'm sure it happened. I'm
I
sure
think
that's
he
the
was on
like
screen
one
for maybe
sequence where
2
they're in
seconds.
town,
Yeah, in the town for
right
5
before they
seconds,
drive
maybe.
off.
Yeah.
And he's in. I mean, he's in a lot of other stuff, but that's the one that I think we might. Ooh, he's in the Winx saga, which appears to be a revival of the cartoon Winx,
Yeah.
but it's live action and on Netflix.
They doing a live
You
action
know,
Winx Club thing?
they
Huh.
did it in 2021 and 2022, and it would appear it says 2 years. It's only 13 episodes. There can't be two seasons. Starring Abigail Cohen, Hannah van der Westhuizen, Precious Mustafa, Elliot Salt, Elisha Applebaum, Danny Griffin, Freddie Thorpe, Theo Graham. Like, the stars are out tonight. No, it's a Netflix show. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
do you expect?
Yeah, whatever.
Do you not remember that they released a series of unfortunate events show and no one watched it and they put so much money into it?
Uh-huh. I'm very familiar with that one.
They hired peak of his powers Neil Patrick Harris, fresh
Couldn't
off of
save it.
his contractual obligations to I have to make all of these damn seasons of How I Met Your Mother, and he was like, I'm gonna do some character work, and everybody was like, okay, okay. Oh, you meant a show. Never mind. No, 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 thank you. Oh, anyway, it's fine. It's fine. Would you believe that before you get to Rook, in terms of top cast, we get the WY officer and all three of the punks that are beating on the child, and both the xenomorph and the offspring,
I
and
would
the
believe that.
voice of Mu,
Hmm.
all of those top billed over Rook the android.
Main antagonist of the film.
I again, like I thought the portrayal was good. I just thought the fact that they had him for
He was
like
fine. His voice was
it was
fine.
genuinely it was like 2 minutes of him being like, no, you cannot leave because we are the bad and the bad is the bad. Now, like what you're doing, which is you thought it felt like bad CGI, I thought was intentional because he's a dying
A
synthetic.
dying, yeah. No, it did
Like,
not feel
I
that
thought the
way
mouth
to
was
me.
very much not supposed to be part of it. And I did think the little half man, the like corpse of it all was very interesting in
His
terms of an
like
effect.
face was blurry. That was the thing to me. I would have been okay with it if he had like had half his face missing or some shit. Like it was like out of focus, like
Like
blurry, fuzzy
90% of this
around.
movie.
It was noticeably bad. Like I'm not hating on the rest of it. This was like even for that, it was noticeably bad to me.
I just got to say that compared to Robert Brobrochkeski, The Offspring,
Hmm.
it was nowhere near that bad. Um, all right. I'm gonna go back to the Reeboks. She wore them baggy sweatpants with the Reeboks with the straps, the whole fucking movie. But like, I don't know. The fan service was really rough for me because like I'm not a fan of this series, and they hit all of the fan service. They touched
Mm-hmm.
every part of the Alien. They had to have some sort of one-off line. Like the first time it happened, I was like, oh, that's kind of fun, right? So there's the or the first one I noticed rather, but the what is it, like feisty little buggers or busy little buggers when they
Uh-huh.
had all reproduced and there were so many. Like I that's kind of fun to have a little callback that's subtle in the scene, not
Mm-hmm.
really noticeable. Like that didn't bother me that much. The fact that then every 2 minutes of the rest of the movie, when there were only like a line of dialogue per scene, maybe 5 lines of dialogue per scene, like one of the five had to be a callback reference, or I still like pregnant girl that I'll remember the name of Mary. No,
I literally
anyway,
could not tell you
um,
anyone's name besides Andy and Rain. Everyone else is nameless crew member.
You don't
to me.
remember Navarro?
Was
She's
that
the
the
one that
name?
gets the face
I
hugger.
thought that was the name of the planet. That was Invada. Was the planet they were trying to go to or something?
Yes, the far off distant land full of farms. Nevada.
Invada, yes.
It is next to Nebraska. Um, but like, so another thing that they did with set design, I did you play a lot of Isolation? Have you played
Yeah,
through
yeah,
Isolation? Okay.
yes.
So the door functions are stripped directly from that game. Another thing that you'll notice, I don't know if you noticed it on this watch, but most of the sequences, like right before there's a quote unquote dangerous sequence, there's the terminal that they used to save in fucking Alien Isolation. One of which
I
is
like that.
when he changes the plot to pick up the pulse rifles.
I kind of
He
like that.
there's one in frame there. There's another one right before they go into the tunnel. There's another like it's if they did it once or twice to where it felt what's the word endemic to the scene, like I do think like
Well, and like the
there's a
save
space for that.
terminals were
That's a fun
like
little
a
callback.
functional item in the world. They weren't like the save terminals. They were like in station, like comms terminals or something, right? Like that was their premise. So having those
And
interspace throughout a space station
and
is makes
and
sense.
if they were interacting with them and using them to communicate back to the android to see what the next steps were or something like that to where it felt earned, sure, sure.
It's just set
But when
dressing.
it's
It's
an
in
Easter
universe
egg,
set dressing.
but it wasn't in frame until they were about to have drama. Like it would noticeably not be in frame. Then they would show you the save point.
If that's on purpose, I love that actually.
It can't not be.
I don't
Like
know. I couldn't tell you. I didn't even notice this. So
it's fine. Again, like if you haven't played the game since what 2012 or 13, whenever it came out, like there's also that. So I didn't play it until a year or two ago.
yeah, I haven't played it
When I
since
got it
like
for like $1.
2015. Like I got a year or two after it had come out, and I haven't played it really since then.
Um, just gonna die on this hill of at no point should they have exited the shuttlecraft,
Hmm.
shown the exterior of the shuttlecraft, done anything on the exterior of this station. Like it was just very painful for me because they could have just made like models in frame and it would have looked cheesy. Would have been better than
They
what we
looked
got.
they looked fine. They looked like
Um,
spaceships. They looked like industrial spaceships.
but I think if there were two things that I could do to fix a film, which tends to be how I look at this, one, either have smarter characters or treat it more like a slasher film, and two, play more into tension because they couldn't pick like they couldn't pick a theme. They made a movie with the setting of an alien movie, and they made the plot an aliens movie,
Yeah.
which is very different.
Yes. And like so my look at it is like if I was gonna go score this movie on like an out of 10 system, I'd still give it like an 8. Like I loved it. I thought it was a great movie, but I have problems with it, and the ways I would fix it and the things that would make it like a near perfect film for me would be I think we needed less aliens. Like give me less xenomorphs. Give me like one xenomorph. Let's go back to fucking basics. Let's get some tension in this fucker, cuz like there's no point where it felt tense outside of like a couple of moments at all. I wanted give me some more time with these characters because I didn't care about any of them at all besides Andy.
Build the tension with dread.
Yeah.
Don't build the tension with action.
Yeah.
Action is not what drives these films. Not if they're gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's ooky spooky, creepy crawly, and again, like this is my complaint, and I don't think I quite landed on it early on, but this movie was sold to me as a return to alien roots and horror.
Yep. Yeah.
And the movie that we got is not a horror movie.
It wasn't scary.
Kind of tries to be. It's Blumhouse horror.
Yeah, it tries. That was my thing. I came out of it and I was like, man, I wanted this to be a lot scarier than it was. It wasn't as tense as I wanted it to be. But that was the thing. Like I said, Give me some more time with the characters so I actually care about them and am worried about them. Because outside of Andy, the only character who had basically any like reason for me to like him or care about him, like no one else. I didn't care about anybody else. So like when they were gonna
I'm
die or were
I'm
in
good with
danger,
nobody.
I was like, oh no, the bald girl is dying. Oh
See,
darn, I need her
yeah,
because
see,
she can fly the spaceship, I guess.
I'm good with the opposite. I would have been fine with less character on all of them, because what you're seeing is the juxtaposition, right? You're like, oh, I only really got to know this one person I liked. I'd be fine if all these little shitheads got killed. Like, the perfect movie for me is these guys fuck up enough that they knock it out of orbit. Alien
Mm-hmm.
wins. They all get killed in the asteroid belt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be a very fun movie for me. A true slasher instead of, I guess they get away so that we can maybe get a sequel with these characters that
Oh,
who gives a shit?
we're absolutely getting a sequel from this fucking thing. There's no shot
Sure.
we're not.
A
This
sequel.
thing,
Do you think you're getting a sequel that's a reboot with these characters, right? There's going to be an Alien 2 and we're going to try to turn this actor into Sigourney Weaver, or
I I
do we
think
get another movie from this director?
I think that the
Because I think
future
it's
of
the latter.
this is we're getting probably a direct sequel from this where she crash lands on that planet that they're supposed to go to, and like the little black alien goo gets out and makes like a shit ton of like humanoid xenomorph monsters that they're stuck with. You're gonna get a
Humanoid
bunch of
xenomorph.
thumbs.
Hold on. Humanoid xenomorph corn.
And just
just,
they got
just
little corn
Monsanto the movie.
stalks
Yes.
coming out of their
No, I
bag.
want this. Plants
Yeah,
vs. Plants vs. Zombies on the planet Nibraka.
and Nevada.
And then we'll get the line. We'll get the line of your corn syrup, you bitch.
Leave
So
Andy
bad.
alone.
So
I
bad,
liked
man.
that. I thought it was fine.
It was so unearned. He didn't do anything.
He
He
saved
jumped
his
down a hallway
person.
as a synth.
Yeah,
There
he
was no
saved his
danger.
person. Saved his person. That was the danger. She was gonna die.
Okay,
But no, I think
but
it needed more tension though. Like going back to it though, like it needed some
he's got
tension with
super
this stuff.
strength and grappling, and he's basically a damn superhero. Why not just punch through its damn skull? Why
Yeah,
did
he
you
has it
jump on
until
top
he
of it and
doesn't.
shoot it all the way down the elevator shaft? And then shoot it some more after delivering a limp delivery of the iconic line from the movie. And not even the right movie to reference Alien.
My movie theater clapped, Brian. When he did
Oh,
that,
mine
they
was silent.
clapped. They
That's not true.
cheered.
There were two chubby boys in front of me that giggled.
My theater cheered. They were like, "Yeah, he said the thing."
Good for them. I'm glad that people are enjoying. Like, the only thing that I can take away is hopefully they trust smaller budgets on more movies. Like, again,
Mhm.
$80 million is not a small budget, but holy fucking shit, do we not need another $300 million Deadpool or Captain America, or what's the one that just flopped, Borderlands, or like, if you're gonna make something unique, and it doesn't have to be a. I mean, that's the biggest hang up that I have here is they're trying to do the universe thing while doing the reboot, and I don't know. I didn't see the new Ghostbusters either, and I'm sure I'd have similar feelings about it. Of,
Nah, that one
you can
was
tell they're trying so hard.
that
That
one
one was
didn't
so what?
that didn't
It
feel
got a
nearly
sequel
as
that's about
like
to get another
loyal to the
sequel.
source material at all. That one was just kind of
But
it was
look, they
okay,
got the
I
thing.
guess.
I don't think this one was
That
true to
one
the source material. I think it was a bunch of, look, we have the thing in this movie. Look, it looks right, right? It looks right. None of it feels right, but it looks right.
it looked right and felt right.
Uh, it it does fit in the later sequels of Alien that you hate, and that's fine. But it's very interesting to me that you're so
It fits in
against
with
some of
Alien
these
and
really bad-
Aliens, the ones that mattered. It looks nothing like Alien 3 or 4 or Prometheus or Resurrection
It has
or
the
whatever.
action of two in the setting of one, and it has the success of neither. Like if the whole movie was them going in on as a strike team on this station, like sure, then it feels right. Or if the whole movie is slowly paced dread while this thing is slowly picking them off. Also, sure, we did neither. One last thing. And I had, like, it's the only other time that I actually laughed out loud at this movie. And it's when they're trying to explain to you just how rough this planet is, where we're skipping out on our landlords. And the miners go walking by. Do you know what I'm going to point out?
They had a literal canary in a cage. They're like, this is the far distant future. We are still bringing space canaries into these fucking mines.
We have created life.
We have the
that are greater than
technology.
Human does not survive in space well. In
We
fact,
hit
they're really
peak
bad at mining
evolution with
still.
canary.
Rather than sending the androids to the mine, they're the foreman.
Androids.
Wait, the robots in. Wait. The robots monitor the human work instead
Androids
of just having
are
machines
expensive.
that are right. But you could make a machine that does the work well instead of having somebody that's incredibly inefficient at it. And who the fuck brought the canaries to the far distant fucking mining colony in the first place? Where are they breeding them? Like, how the fuck have they not figured out how to make a goddamn monoxide detector?
That was very much a thing I thought too. I was like, we don't have a fucking like just sensor, or like you guys don't have gas masks. Like, what the fuck is? We have spacesuits. We have spacesuits. Why don't we have like functional like respirators or some shit? Like, what the fuck? Is it like super space gas that's gonna kill you through respirators? Like, what the fuck?
No, the equipment's not near sensitive enough. We have to have this yellow bird. It goes tweet, 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 tweet.
The real answer
tweet,
is
tweet.
the corporate cynicism of it's just cheaper to let the fucking humans die. Just let them die. We can make more of them.
But during my villain monologue, I explained that we must use it to make humans better.
Yeah, we need to make them more efficient because they're cheap. The androids are expensive, man. They're more valuable than the humans. Except apparently Andy, that they just like go to the fucking trash.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the fact that Weyland-Yutani did not give half a shit about a missing android, or the fact that there is clearly an android that's malfunctioning in society.
Oh, there's definitely going to be some plot point about that in the next one. I guarantee you, there's going to be some nonsense.
I will be entertained if they maintain these characters and the next movie is just Weyland-Yutani Repo Men coming after the homesteading farmers of not Ellie from The Last of Us and her android companion.
I think the next one's gonna end up just being like an Aliens Colonial Marine style thing of like, these fucking xenomorphs have taken over this planet. Time to just send in the Space Marines and kill everybody.
I think we've spent more than enough time on this movie.
We have spent an hour and 12 minutes talking about this movie.
And I probably have more to say. Like, I'm not going to go and retread some other stuff, and I'm not going to nitpick and tear this thing apart. But the fact that I spent like $16 to see this fucking movie.
I can't believe how much you dislike this movie, but you told me about how much you loved Long Legs. That is like a baffling thing to me. I'm like,
looks better.
Get the fuck out of here. Long Legs is barely watchable.
It has better performances.
No.
It is worth calling a movie. This one, like, again,
no.
It was a 2-hour-long movie that should have been less than 60 minutes.
I wanted more of this movie. I wanted it to be longer than it was. It was too short.
Somehow they were playing every plot beat on fast forward, and it still felt like an eternity. Like, I just don't understand. Like, again, like, first 30 to 40 minutes I thought were great. The next 20 to 30 minutes I was like, you know, like they're stumbling a little bit, but if they stick the landing, it's gonna work. And then, boy, did they not. They just not even close. Not close.
I wish they hadn't spent so much time on the little, like, the face huggers, because honestly, for me, I'm a big fan of the Alien films. The face huggers are the least scary thing to me about 90% of the Alien films. Like, they're always just like they felt like a cheapo. We couldn't afford to have more screen time of the xenomorph, so we had to have something else to be a threat for a little bit. And that's what these are.
They were by far the most interesting part of this movie. where both the puppetry and the like creepy fucking movements of them and just the real threat. Like
They're fine.
one face hugger, like has been in most of the other movies. Yeah,
I mean,
you
having a
freeze it off
swarm
and
of
you
them
take
was
care of it.
interesting. Yeah, having a swarm of
It
them was
was
interesting.
terrifying. The fact that they were infesting like cockroaches was
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yeah.
I thought that they did a really like that's why I was like, "Oh shit, they're really taking this in a new direction. This is very interesting. They're doing things we haven't seen before." Then the rest of the movie is like, "You know, we took a couple of the other scenes that weren't even really good scenes and we just mashed them together. We made a new movie. It's fine." Also, you don't care about the characters that
Can
we're hoping to survive. Like Ripley,
can face huggers
I like.
break through a space helmet? Is a
I mean,
question
they've
that I
done it before.
don't remember. Is that what happens in the first one? Because I can't remember. That's what I was like.
Yeah,
I think that's what
the very
happens in the first one.
It breaks through. Yeah, it breaks through
Yeah.
the mask, and it's
Yeah.
under the mask.
My
and they take
part
it
of my
off.
thoughts was like I was thinking back to that scene of them in the hallway and being like, it had tension, but like I didn't really care about it. It wasn't super spooky to me. I was like, okay, yeah, we've got a lot of little spooky little spider guys, I guess. I don't know.
I mean,
I was just thinking, my
again-
brain was going back to that, thinking like, why couldn't we just put on a spacesuit and walk through there? But if we've had it before where
No.
they've just burned through it, that
They
makes
have-
sense, I
yeah,
guess.
it's from
Yeah.
the beginning that they're thrusting beak/penis.
The
is,
real answer is, why don't we
real
just
brutal.
send the android that is immune to them through the hallway and have him just go get the spaceship and fly it back to us? Because none of them care about the android.
Because they didn't trust him already. They didn't fully not trust him. He didn't let somebody die yet, but they had already addressed the fact that
I guess.
he was actively trying to kill the people on board the shuttlecraft.
Mm.
It
The ones that
made
were
enough sense
infested
for it to
already.
work.
I guess.
We didn't know that. We knew that.
I mean, he
You in
said
fact
that.
see the blob go down its neck. Well, he says it's a 60-40. Well, the other android says it's a 60-40 chance. And then he's like, it's not worth the risk. I need to protect Ray no matter what, right?
Mhm.
I don't have to value human life because they don't value my life. And anyway, it's like, yes, I see where the logic would be there, but they also still had a bunch of buggies elsewhere. Like there were problems ahead of them and behind them, and there was no guarantee that they would get out the airlock that they had just closed off. Like it works. We need to go this way. The other android wants them to do something this direction, which he is now required to do by
The real way this movie should have ended is as soon as the spaceship like flew away from the space station, it should have just collided with the station and they all should have died instantly, because that's probably what would have happened.
see the one that I do like that
Spaceship
it
goes
crash landed in a
careening off
sealable-
into space.
but it crash landed into a sealable shuttle
Into the hangar.
bay.
Into the shuttle bay.
Oh, it was like it was like a 2-year-old telling me a story about, and one time the alien did it, and then the aliens were, and then there was acid blood, and in zero gravity they go and they don't get hit by the acid bloods, and then there was an elevator. Well, they were already on the elevator, but they go back to the elevator, and then the elevator doesn't work now.
Give them a little bit of credit. As much as I don't like the acid blood hallway scene, I did at least like we acknowledged sort of the physics of how shooting a firearm in space would work, kind of, with zero gravity, and that it like she used it to kind of push herself around. I was like, all right, I'm interested and glad that you did this, because no one really's ever done this in most films.
You mean like you
but
knew
still.
that she was exactly going to do from the moment that they said there was 10% left and it started flashing, that she was going to use the last bullets to redirect her flow in space? And also, I guess we don't care about penetrating the hole now. Whatever. It's fine. And also, there's all that acid, and when the gravity turns back on, it does not affect the walkway that they just went down, and doesn't affect. But it's fine. And then, by the way, we get back to the elevator, and you know what? Gun still has fucking bullets. We get an unpaid hero moment where he uses the gun.
He just needed one. In reality, he just needed one bullet.
Sure. He had a hell of a lot more. After they made a point of saying that they had 400 total fucking rounds, and you were at 10%. You know how much 10% of 400 is? Because it's 40.
Yeah.
And then she does multiple sprays in the hallway.
She does like a couple round bursts.
I don't know, 20 seconds of him shooting down an elevator shaft in fast motion. And then they just get back, like they get back up to the top, no problem. It's easy. All the other
Ladder.
Xenos didn't really give a fuck. They don't need to climb.
I think there's
The
not really
humans
any
can
left
climb
at
much
that
faster
point.
than a Xeno.
Yeah, historically, the 8-foot tall monsters can't climb very well.
Well, and we've only seen what 8 of them, and we saw
I-
5 of them get hit by a fucking like. Yeah,
Which-
sure.
Interestingly enough, like we had that one scene early on where they were crawling through like the really claustrophobic like letterbox vent. I'm surprised we never went back and did anything else with that, because like having a scene where they're trying to crawl rapidly through that while they can't go anywhere and there's like face huggers or a xenomorph also in that space would have been great.
I would have liked if they had to retrace their paths through that hallway, and they went back and the rat was gone. That would have been a much better payoff of the weird hybrid alien goo.
Yeah, we
than
get like
what
a
they did
weird
with-
like black alien hybrid rat monster. That would have been better,
No,
as
I
if
mean-
that was what was filling the station, was just hundreds of alien xenomorph rat monsters.
Interesting new ideas. Instead of, we're gonna do the alien human hybrid again, but this time he's got David Desmalchian face.
What if we had like the Rat King xenomorph or something, just like 100 little xenomorph rats,
Dude,
like all tied together at a
again,
tail, just like,
like, it would have been very interesting to me if the rat in the vent, which by the way, I don't really think you'd have a lot of rats on a space station.
other
especially a
than their
scientific
test.
space
Yeah,
station,
I guess it was a
outside of the
test
testing
rat that
environment,
got
so
out somehow. It could have
that would be
clearly
the
been one of
assumption.
them. Yeah.
That is not the way they played it in the movie. And it, like, again, that's a really interesting third act payoff. As you go back, the rat's gone, and you start hearing skittering.
Oh,
And then you go, oh, fuck. A few scenes ago, we just saw a weird fucking hybrid mutant rat. And then we
Let
just
me-
saw a rat. And then it just got woked up.
speaking about rats, let me tell you a story about my experience seeing this film in the theater. So in the scene where all of like the little face huggers are like crawling around and it's really tense, I like have my arm on my armrest and something touched my fucking arm and there's not a person sitting next to me. So I was like, what the
Hell yeah.
fuck is that? And I look, and on the armrest, there's a fucking mouse touching my hand. And I was like, internal, like screaming. And I was like, don't freak out. Everyone in this theater is going to start freaking out if you freak out. It's like, it's fine. And I just like watched it. And my neighbor next to me had his whole popcorn bucket sitting in this empty seat next to him. And I watched the mouse go right behind. That mouse absolutely was in that man's popcorn bucket. Like he was just like eating popcorn. Like the mouse was in the bucket just going, here, popcorn.
So I've got two things to say about that, and then I really do kind of want to switch topics. But one, bless that mouse. He's getting all he was after. Number two, he squeaked the squeak of Days Gone By.
That mouse was the best actor of the whole movie for me, because it definitely like scared the shit out of me for a second.
So yeah,
That
we're
was the
coming- we're
best
coming around.
scare.
We're
It was
coming
the
around.
best scare in the movie,
wasn't a
was that
horror
mouse
movie.
touching my arm and being like, ah, something touched me.
All right. So, I mean, we went to different theaters, which means we might have gotten different trailers, but did you have any standout trailers on your end? Because boy, oh boy, did the movies before mine. Holy shit. Do I have some movies to watch? Not Smile 2. Smile 2's garbage. Fuck that shit.
Oh, I didn't get that
Um,
one. I didn't get a trailer for that one. I went to a Cinemark. I got
I went to a Regal.
a trailer for Sony's next big film project, Craven the Hunter.
Oh, I didn't. Was it good?
No. I was watching it and I'm just like sitting here looking at this trailer being like, what is this movie that we're getting? Because they're talking about like hunters. I'm like, is this like a weird John Wick spinoff? And then they're like, they showed him put the tooth necklace on, and I went, oh fuck, I forgot they're making a Craven the Hunter movie.
Nope,
And he is
I
this
don't know.
scrawny little bitch. And I'm like, really? This is Craven the Hunter? This like,
He's fine.
he's
been in a lot of
shredded, but
movies.
he's tiny and like, eh. I was like, who
I
is
mean-
this like small man? Why is he here?
Craven the Hunter historically is not a big man. He
Every-
is in the animated series that
I
you've
mean,
probably watched. but in the
Everything I've
comics-
ever seen him in, he is like jacked in like Venom size. Like he is
Yeah, no,
huge.
so so in most of the comics, he's somewhere between like a gentleman hunter in
Mm-hmm.
some cases and like a swarthy buccaneer that happens to wear like lion skins in many of them. Like that he's not always the 90s cartoon of everybody has to have pecs on their pecs, but also I don't
It's
wish ill
bad.
of the guy, but this is I mean, so it's kick-ass, right? He was either Quicksilver or legally distinct not Quicksilver because we don't own the X-Men. I don't remember which one he is.
Is he the guy that was in Bullet Train?
Yeah,
See,
yeah, he's one of the brothers. It's Aaron.
oh, it's this
What the fuck
guy.
is his name? Aaron Taylor Johnson, who like got
I didn't
groomed
even
and then married
recognize
his
him.
wife.
Didn't even
His wife
recognize
is
him in
like
this. Yeah,
30 years older
yeah,
than him.
yeah, yeah. He's a victim.
But
Yeah,
did they show Russell Crowe in the trailer? Have they shown Russell Crowe
absolutely.
yet? Because I'm
The
so interested in what he looks
absolute
like.
unit of a man,
Is it-
Russell Crowe.
Is
He
it
is
like is it Russell Crowe still deciding that he's never ever going to diet or exercise again for any role because he said that in the media?
he is
love it.
on the permabulk. It is bulked
That's
up
awesome.
Russell Crowe. I'm happy for him. I'm like saw him.
So,
He's his dad, so it's
officially-
like all right, it's fine.
Nothing that I've seen does he have a character name like yet. So I guess yeah, if he's the dad,
It's
then
Craven's father.
that is
That's
what
who
it
he
is.
is in the film. Like
Okay.
that's who he is.
and maybe he plays a bigger role, or maybe it's like Madam Web, where it's your mother that shows up in flashbacks to be killed off screen by a spider.
He seems to be the main
Toxin.
antagonist of the film. In
by
a
the main
way.
antagonist of the film that gets killed by a Pepsi sign. I was getting there.
And also, the rhino is a literal rhino person in this, is what I saw. And I was
Hell
like,
yeah.
no, why do we need him? He doesn't need to be a rhino person. Needs to be
that's-
distinct from the Spider-Man rhinos, I guess, somehow. It's just like literally a rhinoceros person.
Well, I mean, yes and no, but like the rhino in multiple versions of the comics is not like super soldier. He is genetically hybrid because that's a very
Yeah.
common thing with Spider-Man
I mean,
villains
yeah.
where it's like, hey, we made a lizard guy and we made a
Yeah.
chameleon guy and we made a snake guy and we made a Cheeto guy or whatever. Let's see. Rhino Spider-Man.
I mean, I've seen a lot of them where he's just like a
There's
big
also
dude in
Robot
a
Rhino.
suit. I like Robot
I mean-
Rhino better, personally.
Yeah, generally when you're giant in the Marvel universe, you are not just a big guy. You are-
Kingpin?
you-
What's Kingpin?
Depends on what you're reading.
Because
Sometimes it's
every
just a fat guy in an office.
I know, and then there's times where he is on like size level with the Rhino and just a unit of
mean,
a man. Just
Daredevil the show. He's basically like mainlining HGH. He is the most terrifying thing in all of the Marvel television shows, and he's a guy. He's just a guy with.
just a
I
guy.
think he had like. Does he have mommy issues? Like I don't remember what his like weird quirk was in the show, but they definitely.
I don't remember.
Because he had a lot of pathos that was good, and then there was just like this awkward like sub thing of, like the Robin Hood king.
I,
going, like, sucking on his
I
thumb.
literally skipped the first season of Daredevil and only watched season 2.
What the fuck? It's the only good season.
Nah, season 2 is better.
Says the guy that didn't watch the good one.
Season 2 had the one redeeming quality, which was John Bernthal as the Punisher. It was Punisher prequel season. That's why I watched it.
That show, man. I appreciate that you enjoy it, but
I love it. It's great.
I got maybe 3 episodes in of him talking through his gritted teeth to his PTSD survivors group.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like a dark mirror of like what America actually is. Like that's the whole point of him, is he is like a rabid dog fueled by like anger and revenge. Like that's his whole thing. And justifies it in his mind of like, this is why it's okay. It's because they're bad people and I'm the good guy.
Well, yeah, but it'd help if he actually like went after bad people instead of taking 3 seasons to resolve a single plot point, which is I'm sad my family's gone.
I mean, he kills a lot of pedophiles. He kills a lot of pedophiles in the show. Anyway,
I didn't
regardless.
get that far because they took 3 or 4 episodes to do absolutely nothing, which is a cardinal sin for me. Oh, anyway. No, I did not see a Craven the Hunter hat.
I saw Craven the
a long way
Hunter.
of saying that.
What other ones did I see before my movie? Like, I can't even remember. They were like so forgettable and just
Did you see a trailer for a movie that I thought was a Fast and Furious spinoff?
what the movie is this?
Oh, we can't do watch together because it'll be taken down. Okay, so there's a movie coming out for this holiday season that is called Red One, in which Santa gets kidnapped from the North Pole, and
Oh,
his agents have to track him down.
I
Hold on,
know about
and
this movie.
they enlist a super hacker from the naughty list, who is Chris Evans, starring opposite of Dwayne the Rock Johnson, trying to save Santa, who is J.K. fucking Simmons.
Yeah, this is the movie that's been like in development hell for like a decade almost, and like
It
is
may
the
very
one
well
where
be. It
it's
looks
it's the
awful.
one where there's been days of shooting that have been delayed by The Rock being 8 hours late to the shooting that he was supposed to be at, and then making PAs handle bottles full of his urine because he didn't want to have to go to the bathroom. So he would just piss in bottles and make his production assistants handle it.
Are you sure that wasn't Vin Diesel? Because
No, that
he
was
also
absolutely The Rock, and that was this film. It was
it was for
referenced in
it
this,
was for a Santa movie.
and also he is the reason the budget for this film has ballooned out of control because of his being late all the time and having
Well,
to have
I
multiple days of shooting at it again and again and again. He like made the budget go up by at least $10 million.
well, that's supposedly the Lionsgate, Borderlands. It's Lionsgate, right? Yeah, Borderlands film. Um, it originally, like, the cut that was delivered was only like 110 or 120 million, and
Yep.
then studios were like, we don't like this one, go do reshoots, and then 4 years later we got a movie that was 4 times the cost.
So real quick, talking about Borderlands for a second. Are you familiar with Randy Pitchford of Gearbox Studios? The
I
head
mean,
of Gearbox?
I know he lost a questionable USB stick, and I also am aware that he's melting down on social media.
That's
but
where I
have
was
not
going.
engaged.
Randy
do not
Pitchford.
care.
Oh, I love it because he's such a messy bitch on Twitter. It's so like, I love watching this man who's like a multi-millionaire just arguing with random trolls on Twitter and like losing his mind, and then having to
what if
make
this is the
apologies
thing?
later because some intern
What-
took his phone away and was like, Randy, you don't get Twitter anymore.
What if this is the thing that gets him kicked out of Gearbox and removed from Epic
He
leadership?
almost
Like, could you
almost
imagine?
ruined the launch of I think Borderlands 2 or 3 because he started just going off on people on Twitter about his up close magic or some shit. And like eventually he stopped tweeting one day, and the theory was that the marketing team was like, Randy, this game is going to do well. You have a slam dunk on your fucking hands here, and you are ruining it by yelling on Twitter. Take the phone away.
All right. So you might have been getting different ads, but
I got different ads than you, I'm sure, at this point. What else did you see? Because I couldn't remember.
Holy moly. Like, I think we have to watch the Christmas movie. It
I
looks
mean,
real bad.
I'll
And I
watch
want
it.
to watch it.
I'll watch it.
It looks-
I'll watch a shitty Christmas movie.
It looks bad.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness. Like, none of the jokes were jokes. They had a lot of CGI that didn't make sense. They have a sequence where Dwayne the Johnson Rock gets in a slapping, well, I don't remember the name of the contest with Krampus, and they're just slapping each other in the face across a table from each other. Like, what the fuck is this? And I need to know. I need to know what the fuck it is. Another one we got was the Joker sequel, right? The Joker and Harley Quinn. I don't need to get into that other than to go and say
That was one of the other ones. Yeah.
boy, shitlib's gonna shitlib. Like, holy moly, is that just the most you can't cancel us movie.
I like the first
bad.
Joker. After seeing that trailer, I
They
was
look
like,
the same.
no. After this one, I was like, this movie doesn't need to exist. This movie's bad. Like, it looks bad from the trailer.
Did you like that? Evidently, it's not just the one time, but every time he goes down the stairs, he does the dance.
Yes.
He does the meme.
It's a
dance. Like,
compulsion.
it's so funny. Like, they're singing a song throughout it, and it's like
It's a musical,
I
apparently,
still-
is the thing that I've learned about this movie.
right. and I think they're going to keep that as close to the chest as they can through the trailers. Like, I don't think we'll get a snippet of somebody singing. Truly, right?
Oh, my
It
trailer, we
definitely,
got Harley and him singing for a bit. I saw a little bit of them both singing together in this one.
well, but it's kind of the weird like mumble singing that's either the start or the end of a musical number. Like
Uh-huh.
if it's a musical, the way that we're expecting it to be a musical, but like it 100% is going to be one of two movies. One is it's going to be a facsimile or a parody of the Trump trial, or two, it's all going to be in his head. Just like the first movie, how most of the movie's in his head and he's not actually getting better in the asylum.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. And I'm leaning toward the fantasy because it's a goddamn musical.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I don't have a lot of high hopes for that movie.
Okay. How about Mufasa, the Lion King?
Oh, so I saw that.
They put the Lion King in the title of the movie that's not the Lion King.
Brother, let me tell you. So that didn't play before this movie. It did play before I went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine. But let me tell you, it did not play with the rest of the trailers. It played with the shitty Nuvi stuff before the movie even happened. It played with the TV ads before we got to the trailers. And I was like, I didn't know
fairness,
this was being made.
Oh yeah,
I laughed.
They've been on this thing.
Oh God, fuck this thing. That's gonna be terrible.
Your theaters have also been shuffling Nuvi and commercials in, because when we went to see the Longlegs, they did the same thing where we were watching trailers and then it went into like
trailers again.
No, it was like YouTube ads and commercials and stuff, and then it went back to trailers, and I was like, well, that doesn't make sense.
That was weird, yeah.
So maybe that's just a new tactic. They got to add extra ad time to make more ad space and more money. But I just a few takeaways I have. I was vaguely aware this was being made. I couldn't fathom what they were doing with the prequel, and I was a little hopeful that they were going to do like a Richard III or a like just to do it, right? Like
just do a Shakespeare again.
If you're going to make Disney sequels, at least keep in theme, and like every single Lion King movie is a Shakespeare play.
Yeah.
Like would you not watch a like a spin-off Zazu film that is The Tempest?
That's what Lion King
that in a heartbeat.
Lion King 2.5 is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. That's amazing. That's so great.
And 2 was Romeo and Juliet, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's been their thing the whole time. So like I like it would have been interesting, but no, instead we've got the weird talking lions, we've got a bunch of comedy beats that don't make sense, you've got a whole bunch of characters that you don't recognize. But if you didn't pay close attention, and I'm sure you didn't, because why the fuck would you? But there's a one-off line, which is Mufasa was a lost orphan. Which means there is potential for a true pathos film where Scar gets his scars, helping Mufasa survive against a threat to a kingdom. Mufasa sets up a kingdom and sets Scar up as a second-class citizen in said kingdom, which now redeems goddamn Scar retroactively.
Scar was right all along.
But really, I mean, in fairness, if you're looking at the Pride Lands, that's a pretty fucked up setting where, yes, we control everything and we murder things that we want and we eat them all, and eventually someday we'll turn into grass, I guess.
And then all of the hyenas live over there because they are second-class citizens and cannot be trusted because they're bad.
They don't get food.
They get our leftovers.
And Scar goes, like, granted, there's a drought and also other terrible things happening under Scar's lane. But Scar was like, hey, what if all the animals got to say, and I'm a shithead leader?
Is the Lion King a metaphor for apartheid South Africa? Is this a thing that I'm figuring out right now? Is that what we're getting at? Because that feels very...
No,
okay. I was kind of making a little bit of a stretch here for a second. I was like, hold on, we're getting close to...
I mean, If you want some apartheid, we can watch some apartheid. When's the
Let's
last
just
time
go
you watched
watch
District
District
9?
9. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was flabbergasted that, like, again, they probably don't have the balls to do anything with it, but retroactively actually making Mufasa into the tyrant that Scar sees him as, and at one time they are not, like, first of all, they're not brothers now, which is
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
They were brothers.
They were brothers.
But I think this is all to set up their Lion King 2, because guess who is cast? This is the other fucking wild thing about this that you probably missed.
Is it
Guess who
Jaden
is
Smith?
going to be? No, you're in the right frame of mind though, which is Nepo baby from a powerful black kind of actor household. Um that actually, it's very similar now that we think about it, because it is both an actor, but it is an actor that is better known for music, that is already in the Lion King movies. Not that it matters. But no, this is set to be the film debut of Blue Ivy Carter. You know, Beyonce and Jay-Z's kid. As the Simba kid.
Is it young Mufasa or Simba?
No, Simba kid. No, not Simba.
Oh,
Simba's
Simba's
Donald
child.
Glover. Yeah, no, the girl from Lion King 2. So if the child lion is debuting in a voice acting role, hearing the story of her father or grandfather, right? And then in a couple of years, when she's a little older, she's doing another voice acting role as, it's not Nala. What the hell is the name? Kiara Kwaivu
Kiara.
something.
Kiara is absolutely the name.
But Lion King 2, right? They just got to make a live action Lion King 2. They got to get there. First they did this one, and it's about time, right? So here's the skeptic in me. So it was 1994 to 2019, right? Was the first gap, which is about 16 years. When do you think Lion King 2 came out?
Oh God, I couldn't tell you. Probably about 4 or 5 years after that.
It was actually 4 years after that, so my conspiracy brain doesn't work. Okay.
What was your conspiracy brain?
Well, if we add in the COVID years, it might still work. I just thought they were gapping them exactly apart so that they could maintain licensing and rights to everything involved with the property.
I was gonna tell you that's exactly the whole cold reason why they've been remaking all of these Disney live action movies, is to keep them all from entering public domain. That's literally the whole reason why they exist. And then they say, no, we're making them better. But that's literally why they've been remaking all of them systematically, so that none of them can ever enter public domain ever again.
Holy shit. All right, I got one more thing for you because the wiki's still pulled up. The music is by not one, not two, not three, but 5 people.
So is one of them Phil Collins?
No. They haven't done a live action Tarzan yet.
Starring
Rosie O'Donnell.
I was hoping we could maybe save this movie somehow with Phil Collins and
I mean, I would argue that Tarzan has among the worst soundtracks of the Disney animated films, but that is just me. I think that there was much better music when it was done by the it's 2 guys. We talked about
Rankin
this
and Bass or whatever.
No, Rankin and Bass is like the stop motion animation. This was a young like they actually made music for musicals. Hold on, but I got to get through this first. Hans Zimmer.
Okay, yeah, he's making the generic background music. Yeah.
Now remember that it also has to be a musical. So we've enlisted the help of Pharrell Williams, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and then 2 names that I don't recognize.
I hate this movie. I hate this movie more the more I learn.
Bro, pathos-ridden Mufasa betraying his foster brother to take over the Pride Lands. And all of a sudden, a white guy comes in from off screen, and he has to rap and say a lot of things.
Was Lin-Manuel Miranda Zazu in the first one?
No. It was just some guy.
Okay, because I was like, I could have believed it.
Okay. No, I don't think he's involved with these. Like,
now he is
involved for the music. Well, yeah, he's doing the music for the live action Moana
Well, it
too,
is.
which
I saw somebody saying like the biggest thing a lot of people complained about with the first one, which whatever, was that like the lions had no emotion because when they're not animated, they're just lion faces. There's not a lot of emotion on them. Somebody I saw was like, "Wow, they figured out how to make the animals emote." And I looked at the trailer again, and I was like, "What world are you living
it is
in?"
it is in fact infinitely better and still bad.
I
But
couldn't have told you that they had changed anything. It looked just as cold and emotionless to me, but I guess it's probably marginally better.
but yeah, the 2019 remake that was a Favreau film, and this one is
Yep.
not a Favreau
Yep.
film, by the way,
Yep.
um, was just Hans Zimmer, and this one required 4 additional musicians,
We have to cram all of the SEO into this, my friend.
or maybe just songwriters. I don't know, man. It's why it's so so wild, man. Like I just, oh man, who girl,
What other trailers were
who.
before yours? Anything else? I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. I think it's gonna be trash. It should have gone straight to DVD,
Yeah, it
straight to
was
Disney
bothering me.
Plus.
I was looking for who made the music, but I won't dig into that. I I only sort of have one. Did you have a trailer for a new movie starring James McAvoy?
I don't think so.
So generally, when we've seen James McAvoy, he's like either stoic or ooky spooky creepy.
Uh huh.
The movie trailer that I saw, um, dude is playing an absolute menace,
Hit.
and I'm very curious as to what it's going to be. But so it was a film. It's called Speak No Evil.
Okay.
It is. I don't see the studio here, but I would highly suggest maybe watching the trailer because it's got some of the strangest vibes of anything that I've seen recently, and in a good way. Like not like overacting character, like forceful personality. So like the trailer is very unset. Oh, it's Bloomhouse. That's why I was so surprised that it was a Bloomhouse film that I looked at and said, "Oh my goodness, I actually want to watch this." But basically, as far as I can tell, it's like two families were on holiday, ran into each other, and James McAvoy is like hill folk, Scottish man with his little family, and he's like, "No, you guys should come and stay with us." And then very quickly, it seems like there's an ulterior motive, and the family's trying to leave, and he's like, "No, no, you don't get to leave. I like you. I like your family. I want your family." And boy, oh boy, was I enjoying the sequences of that they had cut together for the trailer. And also, like vague swinger vibe. Like they're really complimentary of the wife, and he seems fixated on her, and the like his wife is like, "Oh no, you're beautiful. Yes." I don't know.
I have not
Also,
seen this movie.
I'm pretty sure his son doesn't have a tongue. I'm not sure, but it felt like in a sequence his son has his tongue cut out,
Hmm.
which may mean that he's just a son from somewhere else. They may be a barren ass family.
They stole him from another family. They cuckooed his ass.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just like the imagery was fairly boring and modern horror. Like it felt like a Split or a Smile or whatever. Like it didn't look anything spectacular. But I've got a lot of movies that I liked the way they looked recently, and I haven't had a lot of movies that I liked the way they were recently. So it's up my alley. Like I will be curious. I think it's going to be a dumb popcorn movie. Like I don't think it's going to make you think too much. But um, McAvoy like is one of those actors. In fact, both he and Fassbender, who played Professor X and fucking Magneto against each other in a whole
Mm-hmm.
ass series of films. I think both of them, when you use all the parts of them, are very interesting actors, and I will be curious to see what that ultimately looks like. The only other trailer I got was Cap America, new Cap America, and I
Oh
don't
yeah.
care
Yeah,
Marvel. I
whatever.
just don't
Fucking
care.
garbage.
I Yeah, I mean, I hope it does well relative to the other Marvel films because I would like to think that we can live in a world where there's a Black Captain America and people are going to be totally chill about that. Um,
All I
or
know
at
is
least, or better
they
than chill, like they can be hyped.
I think they have to have offered like Harrison Ford like all of the money in the world or something to come back and do this thing because it looks like he actually has like a role in this movie instead of everything else I've seen him do for the last like 10 years where he's shown up, said 2 lines and then dipped and then they used him in every piece of advertising for it for the movie or show leading up to it and made it look like it
I
was all
mean,
about him and then it's like just kidding, I'm not in this at all.
so the first thing that I have to say is he did make an Indiana Jones. And the second thing is,
Because he loves Indiana Jones. That's the thing. That's partially because he does love that character, and not the way he loves that way more than he loves Han Solo.
unless, well, I mean, it also didn't help that they really shit on his character in the third Star Wars movie after he had asked to be killed off if they weren't going to do anything interesting with his character. Like, that's
Yeah, yeah,
in fairness. They
yeah,
instead bring him back just to sideline him because toys.
yeah. They got him. They got him as Red Hulk or whatever in this coming thing, though.
Well, I was going to say it's way more than just maybe. He is
He
not
is
only
100%
the
Red Hulk.
president of the United States, but he is Red Hulk.
And isn't Red Hulk? I think Red Hulk is also going to be a character in one of the other Disney movies coming up that they have like teased as like one of the alternates to the Avengers or something. Like the Thunderbolts or something has Red Hulk in it as like
Um,
another member of the team or something.
so the answer is maybe. Because Thunderbolts is a well-established brand. Like
Yeah.
they're kind of like the anti-Avengers. Like they're all
Yeah,
anti-heroes to the
we have
team.
like blonde Black Widow, Taskmaster, fucking Captain Russia or whatever the fuck.
Well, but they're not always
Phantom or something.
but they're not always like B-listers. Like looking
Yeah.
at this, it looks like Wyatt Russell's coming back after he did his Captain America. Yeah, two of the characters from the Black Widow movie might be in it, or maybe they're playing something else because Marvel does a lot of that. Um,
I know David Harbour's coming back and the blonde Black Widow is coming back. That's like the two that I know for sure in that Thunderbolts movie.
but you've got Ghost, you've got Sebastian Stan coming back as the Winter Soldier. Look at him go.
Yeah.
Um,
Look at him
Sentry. Oh
go.
boy, Sentry. That's a that's a cut. That's a character that we needed back. Um, that's yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, if they do it right, Thunderbolts can be very interesting to do. The problem is they don't have any enemies.
Yeah.
Like historically, they haven't had enemies, so it's not really unique to have a Suicide Squad. And they're not even a Suicide Squad. They're villains turned heroes.
Yep.
But good for them, I guess. The new movie though, the one that's about to come out with Harrison Ford playing Red Hulk. I mean, that's 100% up his alley because all he's gonna have to do is I am
Be in
president, I
two
am
scenes as
president, I am
Presidente.
president, and then I will read into a voice recorder.
Yeah. It's fair.
Um, I'm more curious about the other characters because they've got Diamondback and Sidewinder are going to be in that film. They've got Tim Blake Nelson's coming back, and I still don't understand that. He's playing the leader, which is awesome. Like, do you know Tim Blake Nelson? You know Tim Blake Nelson. Buster Scruggs.
Oh yeah.
I love him so
I love
much.
him a
He's
lot.
one
Yeah,
of the
he's great.
best character actors.
I love
He's
him in
in
that movie.
so many Coen Brothers films.
Yeah, he's great.
Are you familiar with who the leader is?
No.
he's he's this picture Sinestro but green and with a bigger head. I want it. I want it. But I'm curious. And really the biggest reason I'm curious is that Sidewinder is being played by Giancarlo Esposito, and that'll be
Oh,
something.
See, I wouldn't have known who that character was. I just kept seeing him in the trailer and being like, I guess Giancarlo Esposito is some random mercenary in this movie. That's kind of cool, I guess.
It's so it just they're fine. It's again like we're pulling in characters. He is a member of the Serpent Squad.
The Serpent Squad, yes.
You probably ran into him. I think they're an Ultimate Alliance. I think you have to fight Sidewinder, and it's not Copperhead. Copperhead's the one from Batman, who's you know Copperheady. But it'll be interesting. It'll be a movie. It'll be a movie that I won't watch.
Oh, I don't care at all. I don't like I didn't care for the Captain America movies in the first place, and I'm even less interested in this one. So I'm just like, whatever. This is a movie that exists, I guess.
Well, I could talk about what I'm reading. I could talk about what I'm watching. I feel like we've definitely got more than enough material for 1 week, though. I mean, I don't
We've
need to
gotten
vamp
this
on.
is our longest episode we've done yet. It's a solid. We're 5 minutes shy of 2 hours.
Yeah, we didn't start on time.
And we started roughly on time, like 7 minutes in. But it's I have a timer underneath me. That's why I'm saying like we're just shy of 2 hours of
From
being
when you hit
live.
broadcast.
Yeah.
Sure. Well,
I don't know.
maybe we will just have show. Maybe I have to buy a movie subscription. Evidently, it's only like $15 a month for
For
the theater
AMC's
I'm
or
at.
whatever. Or for
It's
Regal. Yeah.
But when regular tickets are 15.
I see.
long
I
as I'm
might
going
have
once a
always been
week.
like 7, but I always went on like weekends and stuff, like not optimal hours. I would go in the mornings and weekends where it was like $7 for the morning showing. Matinee, baby.
I mean, weekends are usually premium regardless, relative to Monday 11 o'clock showing that's only mothers with their preschoolers. Actually, hold on. I got to derail it real quick. Now that
What's
we're
that?
talking about
Okay.
preschoolers.
Okay.
Yo Gabba Gabbaland.
I
Yo Gabba Gabbaland.
Thundercat is the name of somebody who's in it. I saw a clip of, and I was like, I feel like
think it makes me
Thundercat's
listen to a
somebody that you
Thundercat
like.
song recently.
I was gonna say
do.
I saw it and I saw a Thundercat and I was like, doesn't Brian really like Thundercat? Because I saw him in a trailer for it on my Instagram and I was like, huh,
I mean,
this is funky. I guess he's in a like fuzzy suit and he looks fun.
the Anderson .Paak music was great in the first episode. I do not know. I haven't seen anything other than the first episode because that's the one they released for free on YouTube. But so just in this first season, right? So first of all, right, 2 members of the Aquabats are in every episode because they're main characters on the show and have been since its inception. But Anderson .Paak, the Linda Lindas, who are a great little punk band. Like I really like the Linda Lindas. You should listen to them. I might make you listen to them.
I think I have listened to them.
Portugal the Man, Kurt Vile, Betty Who, the drums, the
Like
Interrupters, Thundercat, and then Red Hot Chili Peppers member Flea, Diplo, Big Daddy Kane, Paul Williams, and Reggie Watts, and then a whole bunch of comedians, including people that you like Sam Richardson, who is one half of Detroiters alongside Tim Robinson, and Gillian Jacobs is on like evidently a whole ass episode, but I haven't gotten there yet. But the production value is very high. The new host being a child instead of an adult is fun, weird, but it's a kids show.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's super wholesome and it'll get stuck in your head. It's catchy as hell. And you have an Apple TV Plus subscription, so you should watch all of it.
I do have one. My mom is watching Bad Monkey, which is what's his name? Vince Vaughn's newest like series or something that's on it.
Is there a monkey in Bad Monkey?
There is a monkey. There is a monkey, and he is a bad monkey sometimes.
Is it just Curious George by another name?
No.
It's not just the monkey getting
it's
into
like
trouble and
a
the man having to get him out.
it's like a black comedy in Key West and involving murder. That's what it is, and like a little bit of voodoo and the Bahamas.
How is this not just Burn Notice? Is my only
It's
question.
kind of just like it kind of feels a lot like Burn Notice, honestly. I don't know. I only watched like one episode before I came up here and we started doing this. So
Oh, you mean literally today?
yeah,
Okay.
like literally, like before I came and did this, I was watching that while I ate dinner with her, and I was just like, it's fine. I don't like hate it. I guess it's a thing that
Yeah,
exists.
I'm looking at it now and I do not recognize. I recognize Alex Moffat, which is not necessarily me saying anything positive, and I recognize Rob Delaney. Ooh, Zach Braff. You get former Scrubs actor and Garden State Zach
Oh
Braff.
boy,
He's a guy.
he is a
A guy.
guy.
Um, the only reason I like Burnt Notice is because you got in the background you've got Bruce
Bruce
Campbell,
Campbell.
and I don't know that I've actually watched more than like 3 episodes of that show, but I have seen compilations of Bruce Campbell on that show. I will watch just his line deliveries. Uh, but that was a oh no, he was a hitman that got burned, and this is an investigative show instead of a thriller. I guess I see
Yeah,
the distinction.
he's like a detective or something that got fired because they were all trying to be like, there's a fucking arm that showed up. We don't want to investigate this shit. We don't want a homicide. Make this thing go away. And then he can't stop investigating it, so they fire him, and he keeps doing it anyway because it's the right
Well,
thing to do, I guess. And he's like, for the first time in his life, going to do the right thing, I guess.
yeah, we don't have to keep rambling. But now that we touched on Bruce Campbell, are you aware that there is an animated Evil Dead show in the works that he
I
is cast
am.
in?
I am.
And and are you aware that he is gonna be on a new show for Peacock that is a horror show?
I also am. I can't remember what it was, but I know that he's in something coming up.
It is Hysteria, and it is set during the Satanic Panic, and he may
Yeah.
in fact be the literal devil.
Might just actually be Satan.
And I'm not gonna pay for Peacock.
No. Isn't Peacock the one that is free though? Like it just has ads?
All of them. Well, that's not true. HBO
Peacock
Max, you have to
is
pay to have ads.
Peacock is truly free with ads, from my understanding last time I looked.
I don't know. It's like this show, and then I think Yellow Jackets is the other one that was an NBC slash
Yeah.
Peacock. That I'm probably not gonna get there. If they'll let me buy it, I will buy the
Yeah.
season and I will watch it. But mm, can't be that motivated.
Yep.
Ugh. All right, we got it. They're doing their own Stranger Things, but with Bruce Campbell
Yay, because that's what we
as a
need.
special guest star. I think it might be fun. Can't be
I,
any worse than
I like
fucking
Bruce
Stranger
Campbell.
Things.
Yeah, Stranger Things is fine, I guess. It's okay.
If they ever release the seasons.
If they ever finish the show when they're all like 20 years older than they were when they did the last one.
See, I just don't see where that's incongruous. Like, unless no kidding, which I guess the latest one is a split season, right? So maybe that would cause problems. But, like, it's not really hard to just write another season and write it for kids that are 4 years older. Be like, oh.
Yeah, it's
They're,
just always been like they've been back to back. Like all of the stuff has
yeah,
technically taken place, like
right, they're still
canonically
supposed to be like
butting
13,
up to each
and
other. Like each season
and
has
they're
like butted up
25.
to each other. Yeah, yeah. Like they're
Oh, actually, I
canonically
said
about
that.
to be like one of them
I
might
said
go to
that, but how
college and
old
it's
is he?
upsetting or something.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Finn Wolfhard is 21 years old,
Yeah.
and the first season of Stranger Things came out how long ago? 2016, 15.
Yeah.
So it's only been 7 years.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not true.
fine.
That's bad math. That's very bad math. It's only been 9 years, which means he was the right age before, and he's very
Yeah, they
much the
were.
wrong age
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I mean, like they've canonically aged each season, like in between. But anyway, each season's like a year apart from each other.
Fair enough.
I don't
Well, you gonna
know.
wrap things up? You keep leaving it open ended, feeling like a Midwestern barbecue.
Yeah, I guess I'll leave it open. I could talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, but I feel like that's another like 30 to 40-minute conversation that I don't feel like
And
diving
we
into
never
right now.
have to talk about it because it's a Marvel movie. We did
I
good.
it was good. As someone who is a hater on the Marvel movies, I'll talk about it real briefly. I'll keep it short. They did good. I liked it. It was like a love letter to all of the Fox superhero films that they did before and like gave all of those characters kind of like a one last hurrah for the most part, which was kind of nice. But also, I'm amazed that they let Deadpool and other characters in this movie say the things that they did about Disney and the Disney multiverse project. Like there's flat out a line where like one of the main characters is like, "Yeah, the multiverse is dead and all of the multiverse movies that Disney has made are bad. We're never doing it again." And I'm just sitting there going, is that a promise? Please, God, that be a promise. I don't like these multiverse movies. I don't want any more of them. Please, God, tell me that this is just you being like, yeah, we made bad movies. And the Jonathan Majors guy who was going to be Kang the Conqueror, yeah, him being a bad person kind of ruined that entire plot line. So we're just kind of abandon it because all of these movies that have done multiverse have flopped hard for us, except Spider-Man. So I don't know. I'm hoping that we never get another multiverse movie again, and that was exciting for me. That one line.
Yeah, yeah, you might get that while you're actively watching a multiverse movie
It is a
and praising a
multiverse
multiverse
movie
movie,
that
and
is
it's the
literally
most successful movie they've
okay.
had since
Okay,
their
but it's a
20-year in the
multiverse
making.
movie where they're making fun of them, and also like Deadpool's whole thing has been killing the whole Marvel universe and being a multiverse spanning person for a long time anyway. Like it's not a new plot line for him. It's like one of his more known comic book runs is him killing the Marvel universe and then other literary characters. Like it's just a thing
I
that he's done, and it matches,
I think
and
that
it's the only one that's been fine.
while you can be optimistic, while that may have been the intention was tying up loose ends and plot lines,
It very much kind
the
of felt like
success
it.
the success of this movie will prove otherwise.
The success of this movie to me
It's
is telling me
Disney.
we're just gonna get more Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, there's a joke in the movie of like they're gonna make you do this till you're 90 for Hugh Jackman, and they probably are gonna make him do this till he's like 70 because this movie is doing so well for them. It has been their biggest success in a long time. And honestly, I'm okay with it. I want more Deadpool and more Wolverine. I'm okay with them just being in more things. I want more. I liked it.
Sure.
And also, what was that? I had another thought that I was going to go with. Oh, another thing that I was like, this Wolverine, they made a big point of being like, he's the saddest Wolverine with the saddest timeline. He's the worst one of all of them. And then it was just kind of like I was getting drunk at a bar and all of the other X-Men got killed by Sentinels while I wasn't there. And I was like, that's the worst one. We're not going to pick
See,
the one where he actively murdered all of the other X-Men because he thought they were villains. We're not going to do that
that's
one. That's too
it's not
dark.
near See, it's not nearly as good as I would have played it off because if I'm writing a Deadpool movie in the year of our Lord 2024, he's the saddest Wolverine because he's the shortest king of all the
Oh no.
Wolverines.
Oh, we have comic
No, I know.
accurate Wolverine and I love
I
him.
I understand what you're saying, but I would have made that the joke. I'd be like, "This is the saddest Wolverine because he's 5'4".
He's so cute. He was so like, oh, look at him. Look at the little guy.
Also, I'm only pushing back on this because it is interesting, but the Blade movies were Warner Brothers films.
Okay. That is
But
interesting.
it's
Didn't
it
know that.
doesn't
But
matter.
yeah.
The
But
the
yeah.
Daredevil and Elektra movie were Fox, and the X-Men movies were Fox, but
Hmm.
technically Blade was New Line Cinema, which at the time was I think they were a Time Warner subsidiary that then got merged into Warner Brothers at some point in the last
Yeah,
half decade, as they've continued to conglomerate into Warner Brothers Discovery, whatever the fuck it's called these days.
yeah. I did
Um,
like that there was just a scene, like, the whole movie takes place in basically the time trash dumpster, like where they put everyone who doesn't fit in a timeline. They're like, go to the dumpster, the void, or whatever. And there's just a giant 20th Century Fox logo buried in the sand right behind them during like the first big fight scene between Logan and Deadpool. And I was like, that's great. I like that. It just was very tongue in cheek fun to me.
but how many characters that were in the place that time forgot that were never actually characters?
Meaning, like, what do you mean?
Well, because like I know several of them that was like these guys are from movie series and franchises that we stopped making, and several of these were people that were trying to get a Gambit right. Famously, Channing Tatum really wanted
Yeah.
a Gambit movie, couldn't get it made.
Apparently, it was
But like,
being made at one point, and he was gonna be it, but it just got nuked. But anyway,
yeah, I mean it's the same as Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool. It's
yeah,
almost the same story, except
yeah,
one of them got their movie made
because fans liked the test screener they made for it. But anyway,
that they forcibly leaked. Yes, I'm aware of the
I know,
story,
I'm just
but
I'm just mentioning it for a second.
but but um do they also encounter all the other cameos there, all the make 'em up cameos, all the random extra characters,
There is a
the
lot of
additional bits
like
and baubles?
deep cut X-Men characters and shit that are just in the side. Like we have the original Toad, like Ray Park comes back and is Toad, which was interesting. I was like, all right, cool. I guess Toad's here. We have the Juggernaut, like from the X-Men movies. It was just a lot of little side cameos that were fun.
Pyro,
Yeah.
Johnny
Yeah.
Storm. You
Yeah.
know, I it's
I wish I had got into it more blind because by the time I got around to seeing this movie, TikTok had spoiled all of the cameos and things for me. So
no,
I already
it,
knew that Chris Evans was not Captain America in it. So I immediately knew where that was going. I liked it overall, but I kind of wish I had gotten a little bit of a fresh eyes. I probably would have freaked out seeing Blade and not knowing he was in this movie.
I also think it's very funny that they got Wesley Snipes to be Blade before they finally released the fucking Blade movie.
I know. He fucking
That's a
dies in
good
this
joke to
movie.
me.
He dies. So I'm just like, is
Yeah,
he gonna be Blade in the
sure.
new Blade? Is there somebody else who's
No,
gonna be
he's not
Blade?
supposed to be. Yeah, no. So since 2014, I think, is when they first did Blade's voice in the background of a Marvel movie teaser. They've been supposedly making another Blade movie, and boy, oh boy, have they not made a Blade movie yet. It's
Disney has no idea what they're doing right now.
it yeah, well, but it's Mahershala
Yeah,
Mahershala Ali, who is a
yeah,
phenomenal actor,
yeah.
and I think it'll be really good. Unfortunately, um,
It's development hell.
I like incredibly so though. Like,
It is stuck in development hell. I know.
yeah, here in so in 2012 is when the rights reverted to Marvel,
Uh
and by 2013 the script was ready,
huh.
and then they, holy shit, what? I missed this. Evidently, in 2015, they asked Wesley Snipes to not only come back to play the character, but to play the character in an underworld crossover movie. How great would it be to watch him
Fascinating.
slaughter Kate Beckinsale and all of her kin, all of the Lycans, all
Oh
of the
my
fuck
god.
vampires?
Oh my god. That'd be great. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
that's amazing.
Apparently they were trying to like they were gonna have Nick Cage be Ghost Rider in this movie, but they literally looked at it and they apparently budgeted it out and it was like, we love you, Nick Cage. We'd love you to be in this movie. Having you appear as Ghost Rider in this movie would put us way over budget just in CGI alone, just for the head. I
And
was
he
like,
should have
all right.
he should have just showed up as Johnny Cage and not been able to set himself on
Yeah,
fire.
yeah, he's just like cucked and like I can't
The
go.
spirit of
No,
vengeance has left me. Ah!
the spirit of vengeance has abandoned me here in this void. They reference like the 5 different Punishers that have existed. That's the thing that they got. I was like, it was fine. It was like a nice little. It's not a great movie, I had fun and I would go watch it again. And that is to be a sign that they did a good job. Because most of these other Marvel movies they've put out, I've seen them and I've gone, I don't ever want to watch this movie ever again. And I wish I had my hour and a half of my life back. I did not have fun. I did not care for this at all. This one was at least, we had a good time. It was silly. It was dumb. It was fun. It was everything it needed to be. It didn't spend a third of the movie setting up some TV show that I don't want to watch. It was just like, here's the show.
Or
Here's
so
the thing.
you think. Or so you
We're gonna
think.
get the Deadpool core, brother. We're gonna get like a
You're
whole show
you're
of just
gonna get
Deadpools. We're gonna get cow pool and dog pool and lady
in
pool and
20
head pool.
in 2025 they will run the trailer at the D20 event for a quarter one 2026 release, and it's going to be the Nowhere Squad, and it's going to be all the washed up superheroes that showed up from other movies, and they're just going to get their own season of some show, and you're going to get Ben Affleck Daredevil, and actually you won't because he
He's
won't
dead.
come back, but it'll be like you might get Colin Farrell to come back as Bullseye. He could do that. I love Colin Farrell. I am realizing as we're having this conversation and you mentioned the Punisher again that I think that live action Punisher,
hmm
new one might be my least favorite.
Nah, he's the best one.
Dolph Lundgren, Thomas Jane, and Ray Stevenson. Thomas Jane's the weakest of the three. But I don't know. I like all three of those movies for very different reasons.
I love John Bernthal. He is supposedly slated to be Punisher if they ever bring him back, if they ever bring it back again, but he is on contract to do it at some point, supposedly, according to him.
Well,
So
at some point he'll have to not emote at all, and then he does this for a few minutes in a scene, and then he goes and shoots people. That's every fucking thing he's ever been in.
he has one clip of him freaking out, going, "No, no, 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 no," and that's it.
Yeah,
It's fine.
was that in The Walking Dead?
No, that is in the Punisher. That clip is from the
Yes, I'm
Punisher.
aware. I'm just saying, like it's the same fucking role. Everything he does, he's just some guy that growls a lot, and then he dies.
He's too busy being in The Bear as the brother that killed himself. He's never coming back.
As a ghost. Is he still showing up as a ghost? I
Yes,
didn't
absolutely.
finish season 2.
He's still
And I
showing
didn't
up
freeze
as a prequel or whatever flashback. He's still a flashback character.
And we don't need to get into that like too much, but man, oh man, did that have a chance of being a very interesting piece of artwork? And with every passing day, I don't understand why that show still exists.
It is
I loved
filmed
season 1.
very beautifully, and I like the stories that they tell. I don't really care for the whole narrative that they seem to be going down right now.
Well, it again, like the first season was very interesting, and then everything after that, I was like, oh, we're just gonna not do that anymore, and we're gonna try to explore alcoholism and haute couture dining and Michelin star restaurants. Okay,
Yeah, it's
yes,
all supposed to be like a metaphor of like trauma and cycles of abuse and like breaking them somehow, but also like it seems like this season ends and it seems like the restaurant's not going to exist anymore. So we'll see. It's open ended. It doesn't confirm or deny things. So it's like, and scene. So this is the one riff
we're
from the
just gonna play the
Refused song.
Refused for 9 minutes of every episode of the first season. Well, I'm not entirely sure. Did the beginning and end of every episode of season 1 start and end with that song, or was
They
it
used it
just
so
that
much.
I love it. I really love New Noise. I don't understand.
It was like the one
why that's
song
the
that they
sound of
paid for the.
anxiety.
It's like the one song they paid for licensing for that
And
season.
also, it's a Swedish singer for a Washington D.C. punk band, and we're playing it in the Chicago show. Why
Yeah.
not get a Chicago punk band?
There's no
so
punk bands in
many.
Chicago. What are you talking about? We don't know anything about that.
Also, just to put a bow on it so that we can stop talking about all of this shit, he's in the new Daredevil show that's coming out soon. Like, he is part of the cast of Daredevil Reborn or Born
Oh, John
Again or whatever
Bernthal
the fuck
is?
it's called. Yeah.
All right, cool. Dope. Great.
Marvel TV, March of 2025. Oh, hold on. They finished filming their first season, which is a 9-episode season, in January of 2024. Again, it's releasing in March of next year. Second season was confirmed last month. This month. This month.
Yeah, because D23 just happened.
What? What? What do you
The-
mean?
The testers for this one really liked it, so we know that you're gonna love it. It's gonna be great.
Okay, hold on. Who is he playing? What the fuck? I don't want it in the title. I want to know who he's playing.
Is he not just playing the Punisher again?
No. There's another name in this movie that is hurting my brain. Do you know who Daniel Blade is? It would be very funny if they just made it Blade and the guy's name is Daniel Blade. Marvel.
I search his
Okay.
name and then the first one is Daniel Blade Marvel question mark.
Yeah. He is Mayor Fisk's director of communications because I guess Wilson Fisk is
Michael
mayor.
Gandolfini will be portraying Daniel Blade in Daredevil.
That's James Gandolfini's son
Yeah.
that played him in the Many Saints of Newark.
Fascinating.
I won't make judgments, but it very much just feels like they were like, we need a Tony Soprano type.
Daniel Blade, I think, is literally a Blade character. I think he's literally just Blade. I think that's what's happening, is that it's Blade.
I don't. I think it was made for. I think it was absolutely made for this show. God, look at him. He's Tony Soprano with more hair. Just this big faced man, not
Yeah.
necessarily big bodied. Oh, that'll be fun. All right, we gonna do anything else? You need to stop the show. You got to make the show end. Right
Yeah,
now,
we
it's just
know.
ramble time.
Yeah, it's ramble times. We're
You
done.
might
We're
even have
done
to
with
cut
this
like
one.
20 minutes.
And no, this is live. This is staying live, brother. This is live on YouTube. It's staying this way. So,
Somebody
all right.
doesn't like using a video editor.
There's so much content that is just live stream of consciousness, and that shit does great. So,
Goodbye, Scream of Consciousness.
goodbye, YouTube. Goodbye, Twitch stream.